Welcome to GoodFlickas, home of the GoodFlickas. Can you take our critiques? We will eventually be discussing Enemy of the State tonight, but we got a little caught up talking about commerce and entrepreneurship in school. So let's end that conversation and try and get into it. Although I love to go back to that. It's always fun learning new things about you guys. But I don't have fancy names for you guys. Like I said, my mind has been so scattered. I'm just failing at this. Eventually I'll get into it and actually do a better job. So I apologize. Get over it. You guys don't even care that much. It's me trying to do something that I can't even do. Thanks for understanding. You're good friends. I am, of course, Matt, joined tonight with Brian. I know that came out weird and it wasn't intended to. Brian, let me enunciate. I am joined tonight with Brian.
All week I've been trying to figure out if I'm very smart or incredibly stupid.
You're I'll tell you this, you're much smarter than me right now. And with us, of course, is Jen, not accompanied by her giant bowl.
No, you guys, I tried to wait and I'm so damn hungry. We cannot have it. I had to eat.
You can't hold off hunger. You gotta jump on that when you can.
Yeah. You guys can see my dessert.
Oh, sweet. Looking forward to dessert. You may notice any of you who are our longtime viewers. We are not joined tonight by the bearded badass himself, Nick. And that is because he is enjoying some family time because we are currently recording on Labor Day.
And
that's right, people. We rarely take holidays. And the one, where everybody is supposed to be taking a day off, we're fighting through.
And Nick doesn't consider us family. It's fine.
Yeah, it's okay. That's okay. Well, you know what? He's not a made man yet. That's why he hasn't been fully initiated into the GoodFlickas. And it's yet to be seen if his Irish background is going to play any kind of factor into our decision. Actually, he hasn't actually seen Goodfellas with us yet, has he?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think he's seen Goodfellas.
I don't think he's seen Goodfellas,
period, which is just, it's a cardinal sin.
Well, I think. Go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say, I think there was one night we were talking about doing a repeat of it so he could see it.
That's what I was gonna get at. If we ever decide to do some rewatches, that might be a fun thing to do towards the end of the year. Is like a fun way to round things out. Is like, all right, everybody pick a movie we've already seen and let's rewatch it.
We should rewatch our least vote, like the suckiest movie.
Oh no, I think we'd have to do that for like season 5 or something, like we have to hit a landmark before we can go back to like the worst movies.
Yeah.
Especially since we're still finding some of the worst movies. What was it? Not too long ago we had a really bad one. What was it?
Oh, well, we had Conan the Barbarian.
Conan, yeah, what was Conan? Everybody kind of bombed on that.
We gave that one a 1.47.
147. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. That was definitely collectively, because I don't think I was as harsh on that one. I think it was like relatively above mid.
It was harsh.
Well, it's not an easy one, but we don't need to relive that. Although I did notice that the remake or the reboot is on Hulu, and I'm very curious to watch it.
Oh no.
Have fun.
Interested. Very interested.
Please don't pick it.
I want to say it's got Jason Momoa as a Conan.
Yeah,
Why would he do that to himself?
This is still early on in his career. Like this is, I think, just before he goes Dothraki and like turns into epic muscled out heartthrob that he is now. He is fucking Aquaman. Anyway. Yeah, we're talking. Sorry, we've gotten very distracted, and I'm not apologizing, but I will apologize. Let's talk about Enemy of the State, which Brian, that was your pick, correct? Yes,
indeed, sir. All right, so yeah, I picked it. I don't know, for a couple of reasons. I think the biggest, or one of the bigger reasons, is I thought it would be a really good transition out of Animation August, where it's been kind of, the feel good. We did 2 Disney movies type thing. And I was like, I think we need a thriller. And when I was going through, and I'm like, and actually, what I really was going for drama. And then when I was like searching through, and all of a sudden I saw Enemy of the State, I'm like, there it is. Like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's got the thriller, it's got the suspense level, not a lot of like grotesque type that you could see in an action movie. It's one that I've always loved. And I knew that it's just going to be a good one to really do a deep dive on and talk about because of the overall, surveilling issue. See what I did there? That entails in this movie. So, and I'm just kind of curious as to what we'd be able to pull from it. It's got a couple of my favorite just like tropes that happens, and it's the biggest one is I love movies that will take 2 basically A-list actors and go toe to toe, and you can just feel the energy from your couch when you're watching it. Examples: Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men, or Gene Hackman and Denzel in Crimson Tide. It's like it's just no better feeling than to watch 2 A-list actors literally just like steel sharpens steel, pushing each other to the max and giving you a performance that you wouldn't believe. And Enemy of the State does it 2 times, which just it was like eye candy to me, which we'll talk about later. So I think that's kind of my overall reasoning as to why I picked Enemy of the State. Go ahead, John.
Also, like, didn't you, like, before you picked this movie, just a couple movie clubs ago, you like made the joke of the blow up the building, like, I don't know, or don't miss a phone call. I forget what movie we were watching.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
I do, because I was really happy I guessed the movie it came from.
Oh, I'll have to go back and see if we can find that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, would either of you like to go first? And competition's fierce here.
I'll go because I was talking anyway. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Enemy of the State. I have seen it. It's been a long while since I've seen it. And well, I won't get all into it. I really enjoy it though. It's equally just as good as I remembered it. I think some new things were I noticed this time around that I forgot about. And the storyline is very well done. And it's like, I mean, thriller is right on. It's like the perfect genre to title this because it definitely is. And it's a little scary what government is capable of, So, but it's a movie. It's not real life. So let's remember that. I'm sure none of that happens in real life. So with all of that being said, I give this movie a 4.85.
Wow, okay.
It's very entertaining. It had me go like this a few times, just one time. We already know that time. And I would definitely, I'd watch it again for sure.
So Enemy of the State, this was my first time seeing this movie, which is very exciting. Yeah, I know, right? I love, right? I love when I get to see a movie for the first time. And this
blew up my mind.
Dude, it's as many movies as I have seen. There are plenty out there that I've missed. So like, I love seeing something for the first time, especially one that's as good as this. It's so much fun. You said it was a thriller, and I definitely it was weird. There was a moment towards the end. I paused just to, like, so I could like write down some notes without missing anything. And I was like, I know some shit's about to go down. So it's like I wrote down some like little predictions and things, whatever I wrote down, and then I hit play, and like immediately my heart starts like, and like with I paused this thing, giving myself plenty of time to like relax, and then instantly it's like it's got me right back into like fuck. Like this movie was so well done. The action is very, very fun. It's very interesting, and it's not over the top. They do a lot of like the shaky cam to kind of like really intensify things, and this is a time where it doesn't upset me. It's done in quick like edits and things. It's not intense and long, so it's like this works for me. So the filmmaking, so like the cinematography, the story is great, the acting's phenomenal. I was surprised at how comical this movie was. That being said, look at how many comedians are in this movie. It is insane. But they all, I mean, they're cracking jokes and things, but there's no like huge belly laughs. There's no like, these guys are they're dropping quips, not jokes.
Yeah, and it's not Fresh Prince.
It was fantastic. Like all around, I really, really enjoyed this. Was surprised by everything. The storytelling of this did such a great job of giving you just enough information to be like, well, that's interesting, but how does that connect to that? And it keeps you guessing the whole time. At no point do you ever really know where something is going to go. And it's fantastic. I love movies that do this. Not to say there's anything wrong with having some predictability, that's done for a reason. But the fact that this movie keeps you on your seat the whole time and you're just like, oh shit. Like, it's done. It's just done very, very well. I'm looking forward to talking about this one. Very excited because again, this was a first watch for me.
I'm excited now too. That's awesome.
And I'm going to be on the lookout for it. This is certainly something that's going to be in my collection if it's not already. And I say that because I collected a bunch of movies that I haven't really looked at, so we'll see. But yeah, this is a great movie. We'll certainly add it to my collection. It's not perfect. I have some things that personal complaints, but overall, really, really freaking good. I gave this thing a 4.45. Enemy of the State, 4.45. Man,
all right.
Sorry, you were talking about the actors and stuff. Like I haven't even. He's not mentioned much. He's not brought up a lot. Like as far as like the posters and everything, but like Jon Voight, man.
Oh.
That guy can do so much with so little.
I mean, I'll just start my review right off with that.
Okay.
I mean, so yeah, I've seen this movie multiple times. I'm pretty sure we disclosed it in last week's pod that this was a movie that when we were camping at Lake Shasta, they just happened to have it as one of the ones that they played, and it's just been in my life for a really long time. It catches actors just in just great time. I mean, your top three: Will Smith, Gene Hackman, and Jon Voight. And I don't know about you guys, but when it comes to Jon Voight, he's just been an evil man as far as I know him. Like anything he's in, I just know him as an evil guy. He was in An Enemy of the State. He was the crazy dude in Anaconda. In 24, he plays Jonas Hodges as this guy that is like completely against America and is plotting attacks. I mean, he's just one of those guys that if I see him, I'm like, that's a bad person.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man.
Sorry, I was getting my wings out of the oven, but yeah, dude is always playing a bad guy, and he's so good at it.
So good at it. It's insane how good he is at being bad.
Doesn't have to be. I mean, National Treasure. He's the nicest guy.
Oh, I forgot he was a National Treasure as the tame father.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah,
but in my mind, he's plotting. He's doing some deep dark shit in National Treasure. National Treasure 3. We'll be surprised.
The other one I like to think of him where he's lighthearted and fun is Zoolander.
Yeah,
where he's playing Derek Zoolander's dad, and it's so classic. It's like he's still that hard ass. He's always just that hard ass.
Exactly. So where else do I go with it? Obviously I've seen this one. I just love the performances that are delivered in this one. I've always been a huge Gene Hackman fan. I don't think a lot of people do the Gene Hackman conversation or talk about him, and I don't understand why, because he is just an incredible actor who will, if you go toe to toe with him, you better know what you're doing, because he will most likely blow you out of the water. And people just don't really talk about Gene Hackman the way that they do talk about Tom Cruise, Will Smith, Mel Gibson, Denzel Washington. It's just like he's never really into discussion. And as far as we've been doing GoodFlickas, I've always fought for Hackman, because I know we've done a few movies with him in it, but it's just, I just feel he's one of the most underappreciated actors, and I don't really understand why. But I guess that's for another conversation. This movie is just, it's great. What I love most about this movie, and I didn't really notice it until my last couple of watches, is it starts, and metaphorically your foot is its foot is on the gas, but just kind of slightly. But once it's on the gas, that foot never comes off the pedal. It just slowly kind of coasts you through. And then when things get going, it's floored, and it's unstoppable. And it does it so well. Tony Scott, man, this guy is showing you how to make a movie based on technology. It is just the moves that he's doing throughout this movie, which we'll break down and talk about. I mean, just he's flexing so hard on this. Like we were just talking about the Scott brothers, and this is just one of Tony's best performances. There's just so much to talk about any of the state, and I cannot wait. Go ahead, Matt. 4.7 out of 5.
Nice, 4.7. I was just gonna say, like, you bring up Tony Scott and like Gene Hackman. I feel like more like the younger generation, like in the last 20 years, has really lost sight of Gene Hackman just because it's been so long. And like he's got a long career, and dude has been crushing it for so long. But I feel like he's kind of been forgotten, because the rest of these guys are either still out there doing a ton of stuff, or just more recent things that are bigger names. But I agree with you, Gene Hackman does not get enough respect. He's incredible. But same thing for Tony Scott. Like, I always hear Ridley Scott's name being mentioned. But like Tony Scott, like I went through that's what I was going through while Jen, you were going through like his list of credits that he is involved in. Like, this guy makes really, really good movies, and he's not stuck in a genre.
No,
the guy can do it. He can make really good movies, but we don't talk about him enough.
He loves Denzel.
But we talk about the movies, but we don't talk about him.
No, I know.
That's what drives me nuts. Because how many movies he's done with Denzel? Like, I feel like the more recent ones, right? I want to say he did Man on Fire.
5.
Okay.
5. Man on Fire, Deja Vu, Unstoppable, Crimson Tide, Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
I mean, the list that I just said right there in movies.
Yeah, the dude is great, and I don't think he gets talked about enough.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, unless anybody else has anything they'd like to add, it would be the time for the patented the Nick Pick Rap of the Week TM. But he is not with us this week. Brian, did you take it upon yourself to come up with a rap?
I'll try.
God bless you, sir. Yeah, Nick, you know what? You take your time. You let us know when you're ready, and you go for it, sir.
Jen, what'd you say?
Nick passed you the mic.
Yeah. All right, we'll try this.
Don't choke, rabbit.
Oh, thank you. Feel Mom's spaghetti coming on. All right. Hey, yo, Nick, where you at to rap about our fun facts? It's so sad you're not here. You're probably with your other family drinking beer, but that's okay. Just sit and relax. Brian's going to show you how to rap fun facts. The name of the movie is Enemy of the State. High-tech adventure of Robert Clayton's fate. We got the good flickas sitting in their jars. Many fans watching and listen from afar. Brill knows the NSA is watching us. Satellite cell phones, there's nothing we can trust. There's so much unknown about enemy of the state. Guess it's time for Brian's fun facts to fill that empty plate.
Oh,
Oh, damn, dude. Wow.
so aggressive.
All right. Hey, yo, Nick, where you at to rap about our fun facts? It's so sad you're not here. You're probably with your other family drinking beer. That's okay. Just sit and relax. Brian's going to show you how to rap fun facts.
Wow. I'm going to admit, like, I thought you came in a little shaky at the beginning there, like with that intro, that slam. But what a finish, dude. Ooh. And double cheers. That was good.
Look out, Nick.
Yeah. Oh man, it has been barated. The kid has been thrown.
I had to clown him.
I mean, if he doesn't, when he's editing this, if he does not cut to like 8 Mile rap battle or at least Scary Movie 3, like we got problems.
I can't rap. I'm white, but that's not
the route we're aiming for.
He's gonna come back with like a rebuttal, like a solo video.
Oh, he's gonna come back, and that's fine.
Oh my god, what a wonderful reason for all of us to watch this is see what he freaking does. Maybe we gave him too much power. I don't know.
Maybe. I think so. I mean, did you guys see I forgot which one it was, either I think it was The Lion King. Did you see what he did for like in between breaks? Do you remember when Nick was playing with the camera?
Yeah.
And was like zooming in on all of us and everything?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he threw that in on the YouTube. So now we've got that on the internet.
Jesus. Can't give that kid anything.
No, you can't.
You give a mouse a cookie and he's gonna want a glass of milk. Then he's gonna end up living in your cupboards and just be a pain in the ass. Just don't give the mouse the cookie. But that was a great rap. I'm ready to hear the fun facts. I honestly though, I'm kind of looking forward to next week's battle if he watches this back. Like, I wanna know what happens.
All right. So we've said it plenty of times. Enemy of the State comes out in 1998. Currently is streaming on Hulu at the time of this recording. So if anyone's interested, go ahead and fire that bad boy up. Director, we just mentioned.
Because they're following our social media.
What?
They already know because they're following our social media.
I mean, yeah, exactly. We're so popular.
Obviously.
Director is Tony Scott. I would say his number one movie that everyone recognizes him directing is Top Gun. We already listed the 5 Denzels that he did, but he's also done True Romance. He's done the Last Boy Scout, Days of Thunder, Beverly Hills Cop 2. I mean, the list just goes on and on with the movies that he's done. And I mean, just the Scott brothers, man, they really just have the talent down and just know how to give a movie lover exactly what they're looking for. And this is, what else can we say? All right, the ratings. GoodFlickas, we're giving this one a 4.67 out of 5. I'm happy with that. Well above the A range. I think that's exactly where it should be.
I feel like that's too low.
Well, we're a lot better than the trolls. So Letterboxd is 3.4 out of 5.
3 point what?
3.4 out of 5.
Wow.
I don't know what's wrong with people. And then IMDb is 7.3 out of 10. Roger Ebert gave it a 3 out of 4. That doesn't surprise me.
Nah.
It was the high. I noticed about as we do this more and more, the high-tech movies kind of throw Roger off for a loop, if you will, where it's like the computers are basically taking over and all that. And Rogers, I didn't think he paired well with that type of stuff. So to get a 3.4, that seemed like I think that's a win from Rogers' book. Budget is 90 million. Worldwide gross $250.8 million. So good take there.
Nothing to scoff at.
Absolutely. There were no Oscars and no Golden Globes.
Wow.
There were some awards, not any of the big ones. There we go. So you've got your MTV Movie and TV Awards. Will Smith nominated for Best Male Performance. And then your Teen Choice Awards nominated for Best Drama and also Best Actor, Will Smith. And then as far as the cast goes, we definitely have said a few names, but I mean, this cast is just, it's loaded. You've got Will Smith, Gene Hackman, Jon Voight, Regina King, who else? Lisa Bonet. You got, I think, Matt, you already said Jack Black and Seth Green, Barry Pepper. I mean, Jake Busey. The names are just, the list just goes
Jason
on and on
Lee,
and on.
Jamie Kennedy. I was so thrown off by the guys that I saw in this movie.
Yeah.
And I loved it though, especially like the fact that most of those guys who are kind of known for being nerds were playing nerds, but like badass nerds.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you've got Jason Lee, who I think is probably most recognized from like Mallrats and Jay and Silent Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this kind of goofy, and he's dude was a professional skateboarder. Like, this is a laid back, like kind of misfit dude. And he has gone on to be a freaking massive star and have his own TV show. Like, freaking nuts. You got Jamie Kennedy, like, who's known for his prank show and stuff. Seth Green, who's this is well-known nerd.
Yeah. I'm
Jack Black, they're all freaking nerds, and like they're playing nerds. Like, it's so cool. And this
is before they had the fame that they have today, obviously.
Yes.
I mean, this was basically like a bunch of kids just hanging out and making a movie together at this point. Jack Black had no status. Seth Green didn't have any status, and Family Guy is years away. It's so crazy to see what they've done with their careers since Enemy of the State.
Seth Green's been around for a while though.
Yeah, he has.
Child actor. So
yeah, wasn't he in like Not Another Teen Movie? No, that was
He was in Stand By Me. No. The other Stephen King one. He was in the
It. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then of course, we already gave the I think the big highlights or spotlights to go to Will Smith, Gene Hackman, and Jon Voight. They really just took this movie to the stratosphere. I mean, they really pushed hard. Go ahead, Jen.
Can I share my confession?
Yeah.
Okay. I might get dinged for this, but I don't think Will Smith is that great of an actor, like in other roles. In this movie, I felt like this was the best acting that I've seen from him. And it was really, really good. But overall, I just don't see him as a top A-lister. Sorry, everybody.
He's been in some incredible things.
I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up. So, because remember, I think Smith had a hard time getting going. And the reason being is people knew him because of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
And the rapper, too.
What?
He would rap.
Yeah, he would rap, but he would be like, it's kid rap.
Yeah.
Even Eminem would make fun of him because he would never swear or anything, right?
Yeah,
and so then by now he's already done Bad Boys. He's already done Independence Day. And I think Independence Day is the movie that kind of launched his, oh, Smith can actually be a movie star, because that is, Bad Boys, yes, it was there, but let's be real, we've already done Bad Boys. Martin Lawrence was the true winner of that one. He just blazed the stage and basically tap danced all over Will Smith. But
Yeah.
then Independence Day comes, and it's more of, okay, I really need to carry this movie. And Smith did a good job. And I think that's where that gave the eye opening to everybody, saying, oh, Smith he's more than a comedic actor. He's more than the Fresh Prince. And then this one comes out, and now it's like, oh no, Smith has a different level that we don't even realize. And then after that, here comes all the career that he's had with Men in Black and all the other 90s movies and so on and so forth. But
see, I liked him in Men in Black. Like, that wasn't too bad. I don't know. I think it's more so like the movies that he's been choosing are phenomenal movies.
mm-hmm.
But I would kind of argue the fact that is it the movie that's great, or is it him in the movie that's great? And for me, I don't think that he's ever like the star shine,
I think for me, like, my first sign of holy shit, Will Smith really is like a great actor was Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh,
which is like that. I mean, I know that's much later in his career, and I think
that's
kind of
2006.
Like, yeah, and I think that's just kind of what happened. Like you were saying, Brian, how trying to get his career going. I think he was really trying to fight out of this kind of like. I mean, anytime you're known for comedy, it's always hard to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's tough. I
call it the Chandler effect.
I could see that. That's a good connection.
Because can you ever see him other than Chandler? No, you can't. No matter what, it's forever Chandler.
Yes, but it's you get typecast because most of the comedians. I mean, look at Jim Carrey. He's a great example of a guy who, I mean, dude owned comedy. I mean, no matter how you look at it, he was comedy gold. No matter what you put him in, he was going to be comedy gold. Mm-hmm. And to get out of that was like extremely difficult for him. It was very difficult for him to break out of like, I can do more. Yes, like I can make people laugh. I can be these crazy, outrageous characters, but I can act too. Like, I have skill, I have talent. I can make you feel other things than joy.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get Hollywood to give you that opportunity. Once they see you one way and like, this is the moneymaker, this is who you are to us, it's hard to break them out of that. When does Wild Wild West come out? I feel like that's gotta be around here.
Rough movie.
I forgot if that was 90s or 2000.
99. So
I was gonna say, okay, right on the top there.
So I think that's what kind of does him in, right? He does Independence Day, he does Enemy of the State, and then he does Wild Wild West. That was kind of like a bomb.
Yeah.
And then I think they does Men in Black not long after. When was Men in Black? It was like 96 or something, right?
Yeah, earlier. Yeah, I think it was before this.
97. So right before this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. He's had a roller coaster of a career, but it's always been good for him.
And I guess the other hard thing about for him was I think he was always being compared to and put up against Denzel.
Why though? To me, they're not even in the same acting category, and I don't mean that by skill. Like,
just by movie choices.
Well, when I look at Denzel, when I think about Denzel, I always think like middle-aged maturity. Like, like, I mean, he can play, obviously now that he's much older, he can play an older character, but he's always just felt like stern, mature character, whatever you put him in, he's always going to be that. Where Will Smith, I feel like at least now you can put him into anything. Like you're
I
saying,
get
as
what you're
far as
saying.
like what you put them in, you
Right.
can put Denzel into a Denzel role. You can put Will Smith into anything.
Got
So
it.
like I've never understood the comparison of like why are these guys fighting? Like I can see where like you would want to go this direction versus this direction. Like I could see why they would be up for the same roles, but for it to be Denzel or Will Smith, it's like, what movie are you trying to make?
Good point. All right. So the NSA refused to cooperate with the production of Enemy of the State.
What?
Yeah.
The government
Zero
didn't
cooperation.
cooperate?
We're just like, you guys are on your own. Figure it out.
we can neither confirm nor deny anything that you were saying is true or false.
Hackman turned down the role several times.
Why?
Ended up getting a personal call from Tony Scott, and then finally accepted the role.
What
Smith
was
That's what
joined.
happened there. Blackmail. Tony Scott.
Smith,
You owe me one, motherfucker.
Smith joined on once he found out that Gene Hackman was booked as well,
Hell yeah.
because he wanted to work with Gene Hackman.
See, this is what's missing from this new generation, right? Is like that's Will Smith being like new coming up and be like, Gene Hackman's a part of this. Fuck yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to work with that guy.
like willing to learn?
Yes.
Well, this was around the time that Gene does oh god, what was it that we did?
The Firm.
Not The Firm, with Russell Crowe and Sharon Stone, Leo DiCaprio.
Oh,
I'm blanking on the title.
Quick and the Dead.
Quick and the Dead. Thank you. That was around this time too, right? So I mean, like,
yeah,
I feel like Gene Hackman had this surgence in the 90s where he was just popping up in everything as just not the main character, but like the fucking guy for all of these movies.
No, but what was interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up, is not only was he doing that, he was going toe to toe with the lead actors. Not just you're leading the movie. It's more of like you are an A-list actor. You are popular and everybody knows you. And he did it so strategically. And I think that's what made him such a great actor is he would basically put himself in the ring and saying, what do you got? I mean, just Quick and the Dead. He's got Sharon Stone and Leo that he's going against. He's got on this one, obviously, he's got Will Smith, but you also have John Voight. It's like he's doing these. I think he did it strategically, I swear. And it was a good move. Because you're right, he never led the movie, but he would always be in the thick of it. And there was always a scene where it was, you're going toe to toe with me, and I'm going to give you a performance, and let's see if you can keep up. And it's amazing.
Here comes my monologue.
What?
Here comes my monologue.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Him going toe to toe with Denzel and Crimson Tide when they were actually toe to toe. It's so good.
I think we were talking about how Robert De Niro never screams, like he never yells.
Mm-hmm.
What Gene Hackman does, like he yells, but like the way that he yells, it's like nobody yells like Gene Hackman.
Nobody laughs like him either. His laugh is so good.
He has solidified such personality, like so many personality traits. Like his little, even playing like in this where he's the good guy, the moments where somebody says something to him and he knows like they're wrong or something, and that condescending laugh, that
he's 5 steps ahead of you.
That condescending little chuckle that he's got, like it's fucking gold. And
it is.
It's him. He does it and then takes that breath and then drops that knowledge on you, and you're just like, fuck, man. Like Hackman, the dude, And what's brilliant about it, I think we've said this about him before too. What's brilliant is like, although he has these traits, these signatures, he never feels like the same person.
No,
Never feels like the same character. God, he's so fucking good.
Smith improv'd the cross-dressing line.
I did read that trivia fact. I was like, well, that's fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then when it came out, I was like, oh, this isn't like comedic in any way. That's just like really good sarcasm. Like,
yeah,
nice.
And you can you can tell that the other actors weren't really expecting it, because you can see one of them holds back a laugh and tries to keep a straight face, but gets a little like a snicker off type thing, like a little smile.
I gotta remember the guy's name because it's the dude from
I think it's the one that gets
Ryan
busted up in the car.
Yeah.
Okay, the young Hackman photo in the NSA file.
Private Ryan. What the hell is wrong with me?
Was actually taken from the movie The Conversation, which also starred Gene Hackman. I've never seen The Conversation,
nor I.
But apparently, there's a lot of theories or conspiracies that the character of Gene Hackman in The Conversation is Brill, and Enemy of the State is a sequel to The Conversation without it actually being declared a sequel to Enemy of the State. I'm sorry, a sequel to The Conversation. I cannot weigh in on this because I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know.
I haven't seen it either, but I do like when things like this happen over like decades of actors' careers, where they do something that's obscure enough but related enough to where fans can be like, ooh, unofficial trilogy, unofficial sequel. Like, that's always fun for me. So like, I would imagine there's enough weight to support this, and it certainly makes me want to see The Conversation.
Yeah. I'm curious. So I think it came out in like 74 or 76. So like that, yeah. Well before we were even a thought of this world. Mm-hmm. There were two possible Bobbies or Roberts. First one, Mel Gibson. Second one, Matt's favorite guy.
Best.
Tom Cruise.
That guy was up for a role?
The video games. Did anyone have any weigh in on Tom Cruise or Mel Gibson? I mean, the 1990s, I wasn't surprised at all.
Just a name.
Mm-hmm. The video game system was an NEC Turbo Express.
Yeah, I recognize that NEC logo. Not the game. It was crazy.
I was more of a Game Boy guy, so that's what I was playing.
I'm not surprised. Like I'm not familiar with that a controller, but NEC makes projectors, so I'm not the least bit surprised that they would be in that market.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
But I did have something I wanted to say about Tom Cruise.
Yep.
I believe the reason that he didn't accept this role was because it was scheduling conflicts, because he was still shooting Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut, yeah.
Which I believe is still known as the longest production time for a film. It was like over a year. It took like over a year to film that movie.
Wow.
Stanley Kubrick is a perfectionist, and that's the kind of dedication he requires.
No, we did one movie where it started production, then they had to stop. Oh, was it Castaway? It was Castaway. They started production, they stopped it so Tom Cruise could go through the changes. He ends up doing who directed Castaway? Shit.
The difference being is like that's not a continual production time. Like they filmed their parts.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
They went back into production when everybody was ready to go back into production.
And he made a film in between. Who the hell was the director
for Castaway?
Why am I blanking?
I don't know. I'm terrible with directors. It's my worst thing. Castaway, give me 1 second. Directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Duh. Okay.
Yeah. Whenever you say it, it's like, well, of course it's Zemeckis.
Yep. All right. So Eyes Wide Shut was I get what you're saying. The continuous without taking breaks, all that stuff. Okay.
Yes. Which, I mean, I could find like the length of time, but it was like a year and 1 to 3 months or something, I think. Like it was.
Oh my God.
And they were filming this entire time. It was insane. But they did come up with some cool stuff. Like Stanley Kubrick refused to go to New York to film any exterior shots. So they had somebody go to New York and like basically walk with a steady cam down the streets to get footage of walking down the streets. And they projected it behind Tom Cruise in London, I think is where they were filming. So they projected on the screen behind Tom Cruise, who's walking on a treadmill, and it looks like he's walking down the streets of New York. When in reality, it's a lot of interesting facts about Eyes Wide Shut. So
yeah, that's a movie.
Yes. So it's very obvious for why Tom Cruise was not a part of this movie.
Yeah.
And thank goodness, because we got Will Smith.
Mm-hmm. Did you notice
Will Smith?
Hackman's first appearance 55 minutes into the movie?
Dude.
Whoa.
He was killing me. This whole time I'm like, when's Hackman showing up?
It's one of the biggest gems about Enemy of the State. You feel that when you think back in your memory, it's like he's there instantly, right? That's how much he dominated the screen. Yeah, his first appearance isn't until 55 minutes into the movie.
Like halfway.
Halfway, yeah.
Wow.
He marks the changing of the tide.
Yeah. Brill's jar was originally a Dr. Pepper plant.
Oh. Did they actually destroy a building?
What?
Did they actually destroy a building?
I don't know. They might have. That explosion was pretty damn real.
Oh, just would have been so cool. It's like, well, it's down for demolition anyway. What can we just blow it up?
Can we help you out there?
We just blow it up. It'd just be so cool.
Smith turned down Snake Eyes for this role. Brilliant move.
I don't remember. See, I've heard of Snake Eyes, but I don't know anything about Snake Eyes.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah.
Las Vegas. What else? It's a fight. There's a fight going on, and it's basically all happening in the arena. I just don't remember much about it.
There's we're good. There's always a fight in Vegas. You know.
Yeah. It was a very smart move for
there's
him
a boxing match
to turn down Snake Eyes for this role. And then we did have a possible Brill, and that would be Sean Connery.
We would have Sean Connery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that would be an interesting interface.
I was thinking on it, and I'm like, it's not bad, but I don't know if Connery had the juice to pull it off.
He does.
He does.
He does League of Extraordinary Gentlemen like a few years after this in the 2000s. Like he could pull it off.
Okay.
But I don't think he could pull it off with Smith. I don't think they would mesh well.
Actually, I agree with you on that one. I don't know what the chemistry would be like between the two of them.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture. He's supposed to be a paranoid. I'm trying to picture Connery as paranoid person, doesn't want to be seen, wants to hide in a jar. It's tough for me to see it.
I don't know. Like, kind of get Henry Jones Sr. vibes.
Who?
Indy's dad.
No.
He's kind of like a bumbling idiot. Like, I mean, it's I
he's a bumbling
not a one
idiot,
for one, but like I don't know. I could see. I don't like it. I think Hackman is definitely the better choice, but like, I mean, I could see it.
That is all I have.
Good for a quick break and then come back and we hop into the movie?
Sure.
Sweet. Well, go ahead and grab yourself something to drink, something to eat, take a potty break. We'll be right back in a couple minutes. Hey, Jen, just letting you know I'm here. I'm keeping my camera off so I don't give Nick the footage of me chewing wings. Welcome back to GoodFlickas, home of the GoodFlickas. We are about to dive into Enemy of the State. I hope you enjoyed the break and got something delicious to snack on as we dive into the movie. And my favorite thing to do is to start from the very beginning, a very good place to start. And holy hell. So I had to pull out the notes for this one. Because I remember I'm like, I had strong feelings, but what was it? Oh yeah, that's what the fuck it was. So this opening, really enjoyed it. Great way to start like a thriller movie, especially if you're involving like, oh yeah, it's spies and governments and things. Like they have these kind of like confrontational coded speak with each other, and then somebody gets assassinated, and then it's like, and now we're on our way. Like it all happens real freaking intense, real quick, all of a sudden, and they don't really give you a whole lot of information. They give you enough to understand kind of like the gist of what's going on, but they don't really give too much away yet, which I really like. And like, okay, my biggest takeaway from this is this poor fucking dog. This poor dog. Like, okay, yes, I feel bad that this guy just gets assassinated and dropped and then thrown into the freaking lake. But this poor dog chases after that car. He sits there. Like, it is heartbreaking. And all I'm thinking is like, wow, what a fucked up way to start this movie. But really good move. Like it was well done. Really well done. They didn't hurt the dog. Thank you for that. Like I was so worried about the dogs and the animals throughout this thing, especially since he brought in so many. 2 dogs and a cat. Like, fuck, dude, you're gonna do but ultimately kind of works out great. But yeah, I really did. I liked this intro. I liked the start to this movie, and with the boom, like right into your freaking title drop. Like this was done really, really well. And I think a solid way to start a movie with an intense scene. It's not necessarily aggressive. Go ahead, Brian.
No, I completely agree. The intro it's so solid. It gives you a visual as to what truly happened, so you know the truth right off the bat. And you know that this movie is basically all about the events that happened at the duck pond. And it's like, so you don't have any questions in mind as to what's going on. Like it's all, clear as day. You don't understand what they're kind of discussing or what they're battling or what they're arguing about, but eventually that truth is told, and then you kind of get the general gist. But it's such a strong way to start the movie, to basically grab the attention. This kind of goes back to the minute it starts, like I was saying, how it just kind of, it's lightly pressing on the gas pedal at this point. But from here on out, the gas pedal is never, the foot's never off the pedal. It's like, this is the start, and we're just going to kind of coast you through. But eventually,
at 60 miles.
yeah. Eventually, we're going to floor this motherfucker, and you're not going to know what hit you. But, and obviously, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, and then not only that, so you get the mini visual story as to what happened, but then Tony Scott's like, now watch this, and we're gonna kick you into the opening credits, and it's just this montage of dash cams, satellites, news, TV shows, just all these combination of things, and I'm like, Tony, you are just an artist. It's so cool to see the way that they do the opening credits. And then the score. The score is incredible throughout this. The music and the score throughout this movie is so good. It just matches the tonality of the movie, scene for scene. And when that drops in on the opening credits, it just everything is just flowing so smoothly. And it's like, all right, gates are open. Where are we going on this one? Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was paying attention during those the opening credits just to kind of like see what kind of footage it was that they were using. And everything that they use in that opening credit, they inevitably use throughout the movie. That was something that I liked. Like in a way, it was foreshadowing of like, yes. I mean, it's not even really, it was blatantly in your face. Like this movie is about security and how the government can access anything and everything that they want, how they do it. And like, it's showing you, it's like phones, computers, cameras. Like, I mean, everything that they show accessible in that opening credits, they use within the movie. And I really like that it plays out that way. It's like, here's the playbook and now watch us use it.
They even use a scene of Will Smith running through the tunnel.
Yeah.
Did
they really? That? Okay, I was curious about that too. I didn't know if that was going to be actual stuff from the movie. So
I was like, I'm pretty sure I just saw Will Smith running through a tunnel.
I can believe it.
Yeah.
They show the guy as it's not the first time we see that guy that's in that big room with the control panels. Like that's the first time we see him. The next time we see him is when Seth Green's character is trying to track him down in the tunnels. So it's very likely like that's what's happening there. Is like it's boom, boom, same guy, same moment. Go ahead, Jen.
I have a head scratcher.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Maybe you guys can help me with it. So continuing with like the very beginning, when Hammersley is murdered, why did he want him dead? Like, what was he trying to get? I have no idea. I missed it. I was like, politics. Oh well, you lost me.
No, I mean, politics gets so spiderweb messy. It's not even funny. This one, thank God, they kept it pretty cut and dry. The John Voight's character, why am I drawing a blank on his name?
I actually can't remember either.
Wow. Anyway.
One second, I'll get you. Go ahead, though.
Yeah, what was his name?
He wasn't a congressman. He was just a politician. I don't remember his name. Anyway, his Reynolds. Character. What?
Thomas Reynolds.
Reynolds. That's it. I keep seeing him as Jonas Hodges from 24. His character wants a bill passed that basically gives the government access to anything that they can get their hands on technology wise. If they want to listen to our cell phone conversation, they can listen to the cell phone conversation. If they want to watch us and listen to the cell phone conversation, they can do that. If they want to take the time off my wristwatch, they can do that without any permission or any reason for that matter. The congressman that was assassinated did not want to pass that bill. He was basically saying, you don't know what this bill is going to do to the country. I'm not doing that. I'm not even opening up those gates. That's Pandora's box that you want to dance on, and I'm not having it. Once he found out that he was not going to pass the bill and he wasn't going to basically go on his side, that's when they went with alternative matters. Does that help?
Stupid.
I think what this movie does a really good job of as well is it creates villains for you. Like it establishes that these guys are the bad guys, but what's interesting is the motives behind everybody's things, like why they're doing what they're doing. And was it Reynolds? His thing is, I think, probably the most interesting because this guy, I think we could see as the truest bad guy of this movie. He's the guy who's tracking him down. He's the one like that's got the government going in on this. He's the one that's even lying to the FBI, to the rest of the government, just to get this taken care of. So he is an interesting character because everybody has motive that makes sense for them. And this almost seems like he's trying to sell it as he is the guy. Sorry, I want to make sure that I'm saying this correctly, because even what was Gene Hackman's character's name? It was
Brill.
We'll just go with Brill. So like even Brill mentions like he loved the agency. He loved what they did. He loved this kind of like using these high level security things to protect the country, to protect people. Like he enjoyed that side of it. But of course it as all things with power and technology and things, it can be corrupted and will be corrupted. And it almost seems like at a certain point that Reynolds' character is among that as well, of I need these permissions to be passed because it's going to allow me to make everything safer. It's going to allow me to stop things before they can be a real problem, because I'll know about it before it becomes a real problem. Like, so it's almost like he's this good guy put into a bad situation kind of thing. Like that's one perspective you could take for him. And you could do that with almost any character in this movie of like, well, are they really the bad guy? Like it's so interesting of when you look into their motives and backstories, you can form so many opinions and arguments about who was right and who was wrong. Go ahead, Brian.
No, absolutely. This is, especially coming off in 1998, this is the type of movies that you can go watch, and then you can go to a bar right afterwards with your friends who just watched it, and then you can get into a 3-hour discussion and have a couple rounds together.
Yeah, we're trying to make a podcast out of it.
It's like when you think of it, the way he presents it originally is he was trying to say, you don't know who's plotting what against America, and this is to protect America. We're the richest, wealthiest country, therefore everybody hates us. Everybody hates us, therefore everybody's against us, therefore they're going to try to plot an attack on us. This is what I'm trying to do. This is why I want the bill passed. And you're like, okay, I'm kind of team you right now. That makes a lot of sense, Mr. Reynolds. And then
you're not making any of this sense.
What?
He said that makes a lot of the sense. And I was like, you're not making any of the sense.
And then when you see exactly the power that they have, all of a sudden you're like, hold the phone. We need to buckle down. We need to tighten up some of these rules, because if this is like, you see what he's capable of doing, how he can just basically shatter lives in a matter of seconds. And all of a sudden it's like, you're not as you were, I was on your team. I'm switching sides now because you're a bad man.
You're a bad man.
So yeah, it is very, very interesting with the way that they kind of present what they want, what their objectives are. And then you actually see what they're capable of, and that changes your perspective almost immediately. Go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, one of the thoughts that I kept getting as I was watching this, like seeing how they're so organized and like they can literally track anything, like the person, get their social. I was like, wow. I was like, this would be brilliant if it was like being used for good, rather than like being on like they just don't want to get caught for a murder.
Mm-hmm. Rather than trying to cover their asses in this moment.
yeah. It's like, wow. So if there is like technology out there, and I'm sure there is, I hope we're using it for good.
I hope so too. Which, Brian, before you get going, I'm just recognizing your shirt. Well played. Well played. When Homeboy was loading something up, and I was like, "Is that a fucking floppy disk? There's no way that's holding this kind of information." Go ahead.
Your shirt is hilarious. It says never forget.
Never forget the floppy disk, the VHS, and the cassette player. They really paved the way for CDs and DVDs.
I am still in possession of multiples of all of those, with the exception of floppy disks. Although
I love how they're holding hands.
I know, I love it. I want that shirt. Where did you get that? That's hilarious.
Oh man, I don't even remember. I've had it for a while. All right, so I wanted to bring up, I don't know if it's I don't know really what it is. I just wanted to kind of bring up a discussion within the intro.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Matt, you distracted me with this shirt.
Oh,
sorry.
Can we, I just want to break things down a little bit on this one, because I'm like, okay, guys. What are we doing here? So they do the needle behind the ear and all that. And I'm like, okay, this is a good assassination, but you're taking time to open up pills and pour it out on the floor. And then you're going to push the car into the pond. The pills are going to probably dissolve. So what's the point of that? Number one. I also couldn't help but notice how fast the car sunk. The cover up was a little on the rush side, to say the least. And they were making unnecessary moves. I get what you're doing. You're making it look like an OD, but then they don't even rule it out as an OD. They rule it out as cardiac arrest. I'm like, so what are we doing here?
What if we don't know what was in the needle. What if the needle was just heavy doses of those pills?
I'm guessing it was something that just basically gives the congressman an arrhythmia and shuts down his heart, or does something like that.
Makes it look like a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, couldn't it be as simple as something just like having like if it was just like saline or not saline, but I mean, they could inject like some sort of basic liquid like water or something into his veins or something. I don't know. Either way, as far as like
the pills thing, I'm like, what? Why? What's the point?
The only argument I'll come up with for that is just that it's the realism of it, of like, if anything is going to be traced, they've covered their bases, right? So like, yes, those pills will dissolve in the water. They may not have thought about that when they were writing this and planning it out. But what it will show is that the pills were there, because that will, like, there'll be residue, or it's not just an empty bottle that was thrown into the thing, right? Like there might be fibers of this. It's you have to create the scene, even if it makes no sense.
All right. That's fair.
That's just me thinking of it as like, if I were a killer, like if I'm going to leave a scene, I want it to look and feel as if the scene were either natural or how I want you to perceive the crime taking place. I don't know. I haven't actively thought about murdering anyone. That's that good. Go on record. Yeah. So I don't really have an answer for you.
That's all right. It was just a discussion topic.
Yeah. There are a couple of moments like that where I question realism on certain things, but I feel like they're small enough to the point where I'm like, that's probably not worth getting so upset about.
No.
Especially like with the computer stuff, like this movie probably paved the way for like, yes, we can enhance. Like that's not how it fucking works. So yeah, like they did so much of that stuff. Okay, when they freaking rotated a camera, I'm like, how?
Yeah.
How do you rotate it? You can't do that. The camera has to move. Like you're full of shit. Like Yeah. So little things like that where I'm like, that's not the point. Like they have ways of figuring these things out anyway. Like when they were doing the breakdown of like what's in his bag, how there's something in his bag, like you just showed me 6 different ways to confirm that there was something in the bag, then there was something else in the bag. Like, so the fact that you have one of those camera angles where I'm like, well, that's absolute bullshit, doesn't bother me. You're proving it other ways that make sense. I'm like, cool, then we're done. And I do like that at one point where it's like, well, can we just get this camera? It's like, it doesn't work that way. The camera is millions of miles away and it's pointing straight down.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? It's like, yes. So you realize that there are limits to cameras. Cool. Yeah. As some moments like that with realism, but I doesn't really take me out of it for too much. And it is funny that you mentioned that though. Like I didn't think about like the pills just dissolving in the water. Which is why I imagine like they probably wrote that. I'm like, yeah, he OD'd, drugs. And it's like, all right, throw him in the water so that when they find him, it's like he drowned. It's like, oh yeah, those pills are probably just going to dissolve. And anyway, whatever.
Either that or they're going to float out the open window that they didn't bother closing.
Something. I just felt so bad for that dog. Are we ready to move on to the scene of the movie, Brian's favorite part? So I didn't actually pick like a scene for me that I think is the scene of the movie, but there were 2 scenes that I wrote names for. And I think I'm going to pick one of them just because I wrote names for them, but I don't necessarily need to go first.
I'm going with running on rooftops.
Running on rooftops. Is that the one where he's with Gene Hackman the first time?
No,
it's
Daniel. What's his name?
Jason Lee when he that actually that leads into one of my scenes. So Jen, did you have a scene?
Yeah, no, we're right around the same. So mine is I have to catch a fire truck.
Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna say that because these were the of the 2 scenes, this was one. Jen, that was exactly one of my scenes is when he gets hit by the truck. And okay, here was my reaction to it. Like I wrote down the scene hit by fire truck. Holy fuck. Like that shocked the hell out of me. Was not prepared for that. But the title that I came up with for it was Fire Fuck.
I like that better than mine.
That took me by surprise. Like I was not expecting that whatsoever, and holy shit.
When I was watching it, I was like, what? And I was like, it's like my brain wanted to go there. It's like something's gonna happen. And I was like, something happens to this guy, and I don't remember what. And then I was like, oh, that's what happened.
I
find it ironic of all the vehicles on the road, it was a fire truck that hit him. Could you imagine how those firemen must feel? Like they do everything to save lives, and they just, man.
He jumped right in front of them. Like,
that's right. Don't react to fear, guys. You end up hit by a fire truck.
I mean, that guy was gonna die anyway.
I don't know where to go with this. Okay. Let me go with this. He gets the bike.
Yeah.
And they almost catch him, but now he's going opposing traffic on a downhill. He's got the advantage.
Yeah.
Why the switch? Why not just take it down the hill more? They're not catching up to him if he's downhill on a fast pedal with opposing traffic. It's not happening. He can outrun them right there and then.
Because they're always going to find him.
But I mean, I just couldn't figure out, why would you switch there, man? Like, you're just going blind jump into now what is your opposing traffic.
Do you think he knew? Do you think it was a suicide?
Hmm?
I question that.
I don't think it was a suicide. No,
I don't think so. I don't think he like.
I think he was going for a desperate maneuver, hoping that I may get hit, but if not, then they won't catch me. I don't know. I have no idea.
I feel like his goal was to try and disorient them like as much as possible to create an escape. And like I think that was like his last like juke, you know? Just like, okay, I've got you guys going this way, I've got you going this way, I've got you going this way. Like bam,
Right.
just because that was a chaotic area as far as traffic for him to do anything. And I think he tried to take full advantage of it to like he's got traffic fucking up. That's going to slow down them from getting to him. He's going to try and get over like, I think that's all it was he was just trying to congest them up enough to get away. And you've got no time to think about like, oh, is there a truck coming? It's no, you react. And you guys,
I just say, take the downhill, man.
I'm not against this plan. I do see like why he may want to stay away from it. Like he's heading into a tunnel that's now dark. Most people don't have automatic lights, meaning that they're just going to be going through there. They're not going to see him very well.
Yeah.
Still very likely he gets hit by a car. You're right. It does. Like he's got the downhill speed that's going to keep him going. And the guys that are just on foot can't chase him fast enough. And they'd get hit by cars too if they did. It's like it has its pluses and minuses. Either way, just that fucking fire truck, man.
Yeah.
I was so surprised. Like, and this is what I mean by like this movie kept me guessing. When I first saw Jason Lee, and it's like, oh, he's this camera guy. Like, oh, and he seems to know some things about computers and stuff too. I was ready for him to kind of be this, like, all right, we're going through getting the chase thing. And like, I've got this video, like him being the person they have to protect, or he's trying to get this video to somebody. Like, I expected him to be a bigger part, but he's got this little thing he initiates, then knows like, I'm fucked, gone. And it's a really good chase. Like you were talking about it. Like, let's go ahead and talk about it.
I mean, yeah, it's the like I just taught it running on rooftops, but you could also give a huge credit to back doors of stores as well, because Jesus, like this scene it's just so good. It's Tony Scott doing what he does when it comes to just keeping the viewer entertained. The one thing I noticed is I don't think there was a scene that was longer than 2 seconds throughout this like whole transition where it's just like camera change, camera change, camera change, camera change. It's so quick. It's 50 different angles. It's like, here's an overshot view of the person running across the roof. Here's him on the roof. Here's him going down the staircase. And I'm just like, you got me, Tony. Like this is so entertaining. It's like the perfect way to film a chase. It's, you've got satellite images, you've got different angles, different everything. They're running through the backs of stores, out front, across the street, through the front, out the back. It's everywhere. The voiceover is fantastic, with people just saying like he got into the back of Captain Ike's or whatever, and you basically Seth is just the announcer giving the play-by-play. It is amazing. It just perfect. It's just perfectly shot action sequence.
I know he does it 5 years later, but the Italian Job, like I got like those Seth Green vibes.
Oh, like 100%.
Like that it's straight up the Napster. Like it's him, the predecessor. That's all that.
Yes.
And he crushed it. Yeah, he did a great job of being that guy.
Mm-hmm.
The guy behind the chair, the guy behind the desk, or whatever the hell they actually say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's just, I just remember the first time I saw this scene, and Matt, you just actually know this experience, but my eyes just were so glued because number one, I was much younger, and I think it might have been around maybe a year after it came out or something like that is when I first saw this movie. And I just remember just being so fascinated with like technology and how it works and what they're able to view and just like this obsession of can they actually just zoom in on a live like on me live running on rooftops and
Yes.
it's just oh man this scene it's too good. And then of course like it kind of basically taking like an intermission in a lingerie shop is part of the comedy behind it, and because then right after that we get into him and his demise ending of the fire truck. So it just from start to finish this movie is just you're not blinking for at least 12 minutes.
Yeah.
You mentioned the like the cinematography, the I agree with you. I really like how for especially with the chases, there's lots of angles, there's lots of cuts because that alone creates the intensity. The fact that they go from a lot of like wide shots to close-up shots, that helps too. And it's like even though these guys are just running upstairs, running downstairs, running down streets, running through a building, like it feels much more intense because we're seeing it happen in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple of moments where it even felt like there was moments happening at the exact same time to where you're seeing like, especially during that chase, you can see Lee's character is running into through something. And then it cuts to the footage of him running through it and that being relayed to the guys chasing. And it's like, it's really interesting how they show the exact same moment happen one after the other, but it never feels like this weird time lapse. It all feels like you're feeling the intensity, you're feeling that rush, and it's really, really well done. And I think it's attributed to those quick shots, those quick edits.
There was one moment where I'm just like, oh my God, how did they do that? It is just so good. He runs out of a restaurant and and you get an aerial shot and it's like yellow. There's I just remember there's like a lot of yellow and you see him being shot through the satellite cam. And then he starts to jump over the front part of the restaurant or like the gate or bushes or whatever it was. And the very next scene is cut to him on ground level running out of the rest. It was like a split to where I'm like, that truly felt real time. Where you just got a different angle, but the editing was so precise that it's like when his leg went up from above, his leg is going up at his level. I'm like, I'm at a loss on how they did that.
It's pretty easy. You just get those two angles and then cut them together.
Easy.
It is. It's pretty easy. You get those two angles, you cut them together.
All right, so I think we're pretty much in agreement that the scene is the start of him running on the rooftop and then ending with the fire truck. That's definitely the one that always comes to mind when I think of Enemy of the State.
That was the first scene that like really stuck with me.
Yeah.
The next scene, like it does the next scene that I titled, it certainly doesn't hold up, but it does. I do think I had a fun title for it.
All right. Well, cool. We have a winner, and we're in open water now. Let's have some fun.
Yeah.
What was your fun title?
So I titled it Mrs. Woo Hoo.
That's really good.
Mrs. Woo. I loved it. Yeah. I had to say it pretty solid there for a second. Yeah, I just
I know I titled it Hotel Calafreedom.
not bad. I like my
Mrs.
Mrs. Woohoo.
That yeah, take it, Matt. Take it.
I just love that she was like, oh, this is what's happening. And just like was all into it. Dude had all of this cash that was ready for a tip. And she's like, oh no, that's for him now. Like I loved that couple. It was such an interesting moment of like him getting in there and then them just kind of being like, is this normal? He's saying things. We don't know what's going on. Like you could tell how confused they were, but also like trying to be very accommodating. Just so confused. And then all these other guys come crashing in and I'm like, what? Okay. Like it was a fun random moment and she made me laugh. The woos were the best. I liked them.
Yeah, that was a fun moment. She was cheering. She was getting it.
This movie did a really good job of sprinkling in like the comedy. And I noticed this, like Jerry Bruckheimer is one of the producers. I've noticed that this is like it's kind of a style that is really known for like the Bruckheimer name of like being serious with some comedy in there. Like it's going to be dramatic, but it's going to have a couple of laughs, not belly laughs, but it doesn't go too far into the dark direction, even though it goes there. I like that about those movies. I've noticed that about that production company is that's where that's their bread and butter is like right in that little window of mature, but also a little silly.
So I had a head scratcher for our guy Daniel here.
Yes.
He discovers that he has the I believe Hemerson murder. I think that was the character's name, Congressman's
Hammersley. That was right.
Hammersley.
That's
yeah. He has the murder on videotape. Clear as day. He knows exactly what he's looking at.
I know it.
Why is his first move to pick up the phone and call somebody?
It was he calls the reporter, so like I mean that's makes sense.
Like a conspiracy reporter at that. Like this guy doesn't just report.
Well, that would make sense for why he wouldn't go to the police, right? And he's like, I can't take this information to police. These guys will like not like this is a murder. I don't know.
Did you just hear what you said?
You can't go to the police. Like this guy knew you can't go to the police with this.
No, what you don't do is you do not pick up a phone that attracts the attention to you. You stay as quiet and mute as possible in order to get the tape to the right hands.
I would like to just say that Will Smith's character made the same mistake how many times?
I'm just saying, man.
This guy's not any better. That's all I'm saying. Jen's got something to add.
So I thought of that too. I was like, why would you pick up the phone? But to be fair, he didn't know what he was involved in. He didn't know those people. He didn't know what they were capable of. So I think to pick up a phone, he thought, no one's going to know that I'm talking to this guy.
There's no, if I saw something that high profile, if it just happened to cross my desk, I would be like, hey, we're not doing anything technology. We're going to think this out.
It doesn't really look high profile, besides it being the congressman, like how he's murdered. It doesn't seem very high profiled. You know,
what
like
makes it high profile is it's the assassination of a U.S. American politician on tape. At that point, I'm probably wrapping you know what I'm doing? I'm putting it in some type of envelope with a big ass "play me," and I'm sliding it under the police department door, and I'm walking the F away, and that's it. I've done my due diligence. It is up to somebody else to handle this shit. But what I'm not doing is I'm not picking up my phone. I'm not emailing. I'm not calling anyone. I'm keeping it so mute.
Yeah, I would have done it in person. Like, I probably wouldn't have called.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate just because it's fun. This was during a time where people like weren't aware of how bugged they were, right? Like I know I'm trying to, I don't want to get decades wrong, but I think it was like the 60s, 70s with you know, like trying to remember J. Edgar Hoover, known for like bugging random people's phones and things like that. So like bugging, like it's existed for a while, like they've known about it.
Yeah.
But now that we've got like satellites, cameras, CCTV, like all of these things that are just available, this is a time where we're not necessarily as educated in what they're capable of, right? Like these guys are doing things on computers in 1998 that like I never would have guessed we could have done in the 90s.
I'll give you that.
I mean, even like the CG of what these guys are doing, again, like the filmmaking of this, like this movie came out in 98. Like I am truly impressed with what they are capable of computer wise.
Yes.
Just within this movie. And I don't think people knew. I don't think people knew what things were capable of, what we were capable of. So why would you have any kind of hesitation? I mean, even within this movie, you've got what's Will Smith's character, Dean?
Robert
Dean is the last name. Let's just go with last names. That's what they were always doing. But so you know, like Dean and like his wife, they're having these arguments where she's like, they're doing this, like this is what's happening. Like she's the conspiracy theorist, right? Like, but also you're 100% accurate. Like she was on the side of like, no, they can do these things, that they're capable of it. It's possible. They can do all of this stuff. Meanwhile, Will Smith starts off this story where he's kind of like, I mean, it's whatever. Like if you know, if they're doing it, they're looking for the bad guys. So why do I have to worry? It's not about me. Like the irony of that statement, right? But I think at this time it would make sense that most people would not be so aware, especially since this is still a trope in movies that people do all of the time. You know, they get this horrible realization like, oh my God, I've stumbled onto something major. What do? Send out an email, send out a text, send out a call. And it's like, what?
Stop. Just stop.
Yeah. So it's I think in 98 it's excusable, but I mean, us having, you know, this kind of mindset in this day and age, absolutely, like it's screaming at you like you need to go off the grid and you need to do it quick.
Yeah, you got to go dark. You got to go dark.
So yeah, I think now we're probably more prepared for doomsday in this sort of situation, at least mentally. Right. And at that time, certainly not.
Not a bad case, Matt. Not a bad case.
The devil's laughing over here.
Yeah.
Can you see the angel weeping? Go ahead, Jen.
Boy, I got a lot still.
Jen,
go ahead, Jen.
I had a topic of discussion. Yes. How do we feel about the character Rachel? Is she needed? Not needed? Do we care?
She's needed, yes. I'll start with this.
Why is she needed? I feel
Rachel is 100% needed because of how paranoid Brill is. Brill is not going to be the type of person that just meets everybody, you know, regardless of who he's helping and all that stuff. So you need that middle person. The fact of the affair and the backstory of it, I question if that part's needed or not. It does bring a little extra drama. It brings a little extra strings for them to pull on how to ruin Robert's life. So that kind of helps out. And also it helps out with like the destruction of the family. It's like, you mean to tell me the person you've had an affair with, you are now seeing again type thing. So it's like, oh, well, I can see how this goes down. But yeah, so some of it's useful. I feel that she is 100% a needed character because it pads the foundation of how paranoid Brill is. And it's very plausible that he's going to be like, you're my messenger, you're my go-to, you handle the people face to face. I'm going to be, basically the wizard behind the curtain at this point.
I like that that's kind of becoming a phrase with us. It's just the wizard behind the curtain. Yeah. Anyway, my argument for Rachel being important, I would almost argue is more important the opposite. Not so much for Brill, but because of Dean. Like the main part of the first half of the movie is Dean getting to know him in this world and how he's fallen into this position and how quickly these guys go to destroy his life. And the point is to show like we are all flawed and the government is capable of finding those flaws and exploiting them and destroying our lives.
Or
Twisting. Because the point is of like, okay, it like when going to trial, when being judged or being, it's you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. Meaning the second that we can plant doubt in something that is a 100% fact, we've now made this fact not true.
Right.
Because now there's doubt. And that's the whole point of everything that they're doing in this first half is like, this is what we're capable of. We know we committed this crime. We know he has proof of that. We know that he can 100% say that this is true. But if we create doubt, now all of a sudden, everything that he says that is true has a hint of lie to it because there's doubt. So that's why I think Rachel is important, is because she ties in so deeply to that backstory with Dean and the wife and everything, and does. For me,
credibility is the only currency that matters in this playing field.
Exactly. And her connection to Brill, I would almost say, is somewhat unnecessary. They don't have to be so related. They don't have to have such a deep connection. It makes more sense for why Brill in the end is like, okay, let's team up and get some revenge because she's important to me too. Like that's nice. But this guy's going up against the NSA anyway, right? Like his whole thing is like, well, now they've got me. I've got to go up against them, and I'm gonna win. So like he's in this fight no matter what. While having that connection is important for Dean and Brill to like, sorry, I blanked on his name there. Like while it's a great connection for the two of them to that they can bond over of like, we have this mutual loss of somebody we cared about, and now we can be on this crusade together. So like it's nice and convenient for the second half of the movie, but I think her importance really lies in the beginning. Although I wish we got more of her. She dropped some details where it's like, well, that would be interesting to know more about. That would be interesting to know more about. This is what Tony Scott does, where like they make these damn movies and they drop these. Brian, I'm going to give it to you in just a second, but remember when we were talking about Gray Man and like how they drop all of these breadcrumbs and they seem to like lead to nothing?
Yeah.
This is a great example of dropping breadcrumbs where some of them lead to nothing, but leave you wanting more. But others lead you to exactly the question, like to exactly the answer you need. This is a great example of how that can be done. Gray Man, not so much. Go ahead, Brian.
Just a little bit more about the Rachel discussion. So the actress is Lisa Bonet, and wow, she's just a starlet. I mean, she played such a great mysterious character like that she brought to Rachel, where you're just like, I don't know. I think it's kind of to tie in what you were saying, how you just wanted more. I agree. I wanted more of Rachel in this movie because she was so interesting to watch, to look at, just everything, like her character in general. it just made you want to know more and everything. The one, Jen, you had asked if she was necessary. The one thing that I will say that is unnecessary that I have deemed one of the biggest nitpicks that I have on this movie is that they kill Rachel. It is just an unnecessary death on a person who did nothing wrong. I mean, you talk about just killing an innocent life. All she did was contact Brill when he needed to be contacted. That was it. She's not doing any crime on the side. She's living her own life. She's in love with a married man. I guess that's her biggest crime that she's doing, is that she just hasn't moved on from someone who is taken. But she just didn't deserve to die. Like and it kills me when I almost tell myself like, nah, she'll live this time. No, she did. She doesn't. It's a Mufasa all over again. But I don't know. I just don't understand why we made Rachel die. I've always had a chip on my shoulder about that one.
I don't think her death is necessary, but there's so much innocent death in this movie that I think that becomes more of part of the storytelling that they're going for. Like for me, I think what part of this story is about is to kind of plant a little bit of fear, a little bit of, reality of like, this is possible. This can and has happened. Like you could be this person who is just going about your day and you have a perfectly innocent life. And now all of a sudden you find yourself the bad guy for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a cautionary tale, I guess, in some regards of, like it's be aware that you may not be, you may not have the eagle eye on you in the moment, but you're being watched. We joke about it all the time of like, behind our webcam is an FBI agent watching us. If he is, hi, stop telling Disney about things that we're talking about and just hire us to do it firsthand. But it's, like we make those jokes, but we really are being watched. Like everything that has a camera can see you. And it is perfectly capable of somebody to turn on like laptop cameras. Like they can do that from a distance. Like these are things that it's there. Like there's reality in this. And I think part of it is to kind of shed light on that reality, but also like make it a bit of a warning that be aware of what's happening. Cause this is stuff I think, Brian, you've alluded to it earlier. Like this hits close to home. Like this is stuff that's still happening. It's possible. It's
100%.
And it's like, it's scary stuff. It really is. And we're still having these fights about like what should be allowed on the internet, what we can and can't have access to. Like it's an insane world that we are now finding ourselves in. But as far as surveillance, like I think it's funny when people talk about like, oh, they're putting chips in vaccines. Like they don't need to. I guarantee you're carrying around at least 2 computer chips at any given time. If you have a piece of technology, yeah, your phone, your watch, like it's you can be found. You can be found. Yeah. Like it's one of those things like you're panicking about the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Just be aware. That's it. Like it's a cautionary tale.
Are we good for a scene change?
Yeah, of course.
All right.
No, I don't want to talk about that one. Different scene. Different
I've titled this one Higher Learning.
Next one. Okay, Higher Learning. Okay.
Higher Learning.
It makes me think there's like drugs involved, but I don't remember anybody like doing any drugs. I am gonna go with either the elevator scene or the rooftop scene that follows.
Pretty much combining all of it. Yes, you got it. I wrote this because first of all, you have to remind yourself that this is your intro to Gene Hackman's character.
Yeah.
And he comes in blazing on this one. It's he suggests or he suspects that that he's that Robert's being followed by the guy who's trying to kill him, and Robert has no idea. And we get the car chase and all that stuff, and then Robert goes to make a phone call, and then boom, your introduction to Gene Hackman is posted up against the wall, stares at Robert, staring down, and gives him the FU. And then comes the elevator scene. And oh man, it's just again, this movie just ramps up immediately because Hackman is just committed. He is just like, he grabs his bag of chips and he basically just starts ripping all these bugs off of Robert, and he's like, how does he, I didn't know I had these. Like, how is he knowing all this stuff? And then you get him on the rooftop, and you've got the conversation going, and we get our first toe-to-toe Smith versus Hackman. And it's clear how dominant of a performance Hackman is, and how confident he is, and it's amazing. It's movie candy. I absolutely can't get enough of it.
I did enjoy this. I wanted more Gene Hackman. The fact that it took half this movie before he like shows up, I'm like, damn. But
yeah,
it's gold every, like, from that moment on, like with him on the screen, with him a part of this, like it is really freaking good. And I do like that this is a moment where like we get a taste of, well, he doesn't stick around. Like, I mean, he even says, if you survive another day, I'll be impressed.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I'm out, dude. Like, I don't know who the fuck you are, how you got a hold of me, but fucking forget it. And it's brilliant. Going up the elevator and just like freaking, he tells him flat out, I was like, dude, lose the clothes. Like yeah. They got you. And it all triggers back for me of like, how are there not like some red flags for you, dude? They leave you one suit and it's still hanging up like perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, they destroy everything else, but this thing's hanging just nicely. Like, and they didn't take anything. They just destroy stuff. I mean, there were so many things where I'm like, how are these not red flags for you, dude? Like, you were just facing off with a mob guy. How are you not more concerned about these things? Like this, you were clearly being targeted.
For a lawyer, he's not very suspicious.
It's surprising.
I mean, so first of all, prior to that, he just had people come in to his place wondering about any information, all that stuff, and then the very next thing he gets just broken into, and he's like, must have been these punk ass kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that your first thought? Just because it looks like it's punk ass kids and they spray painted your dog green?
Red flag.
Yeah,
red flag.
Like huge red flag. Like, how are you not more suspicious, Robert?
Kills me.
Maybe he was, but he didn't want it. Like he knew he's being watched.
No, there's no way. He actually thought that a bunch of teenagers vandalized his home.
He was hoping. He even said he's like, wishful, wishful thinking. It was just some kids. But when he's talking to his little canoe buddy, yeah. He's canoe buddy. We don't know his name. But he shares, he's like, he's skeptical. Like he has his thoughts.
One, I don't think Will Smith's character was written with a black man in mind, especially given some of these details. So I think it would make perfect sense for like a white guy to not be suspicious of things. But it's so obvious. It's so
The
obvious.
clues are there.
Yeah, like, dude, you should, something's up. Something's up.
Yeah.
I'm really going with like the whole fact that he's at this rowing club. Like this dude grew up without a dad. He's a rowing guy and he handles a shotgun like it's no big deal. Feels like you had a white guy in mind. Tom Cruise, perhaps. Oh wait. Anyway, I like that we got Will Smith. I'm just saying there's some character details that are odd.
Yeah.
I think it's odd for anybody. I'm making the jokes about it being kind of like a racial thing, but I think it's odd. I'm like, how are these not red flags for anybody that, like you said, Brian, you had this conversation with guys that got aggressive with you and you realize it and you're like, okay, get your warrant, get the fuck out. And the furthest you went was like going back through your bags and like, what are they looking for? There's nothing here.
Yeah.
Like, and then you just drop the fact, like you got broken into like the next day. Come on.
Yeah. Do better, Robert.
Oh, and what really
I hope you're better in court.
But what really drives me nuts is
you didn't do it. Oh, he didn't do it. Next.
they almost try to make it seem like it's like, oh, it's just a mob, like no big deal. It's just a mob trying to scare me. It's just a mob trying to scare me. It's like, you should be scared. I'm jumping scene real fast, but like with that moment when he's confronting them with the tape, he is way too confident, way too comfortable with this dude. Like you were threatening the mafia, you were threatening the mob in their fucking place. Like the ball's on you right now. And I liked by the end of it, he kind of finally like he got his taste of like, oh fuck, I may have bit off too much. Like I may have bit off more than I can chew. This guy is like yeah, you fucked up. And like that's the first moment of him fucking up.
Yeah, this isn't Rocketeer mob.
No. No, certainly not. But
I also love how, going back to the rooftop, oh shit, I was just going and then wait, well, continue. I was trying to think of my thought. I just lost it.
The rooftop.
There it goes.
What were No, we were talking before you switched scenes, you had said something.
There was like elevator. I was sorry. I was saying a lot of stuff.
No, it's all right. Because it was a point that I was gonna hone in that Hackman did for Robert, or Brill did for Robert, but it's gone. That is gone.
Well, one thing I do think was interesting, like from Brill's choice, was to take him to the roof. Like he knew, he wasn't surprised that the helicopter was coming, and like he obviously knows about satellite surveillance.
I remember now. Sorry, I don't want to forget again.
Yeah, go ahead.
You were talking about mob. What I love is, without even Brill knowing like any major detail about what's going on in Robert's life or anything, he took one look at it, or he took one look and he said, do you really think the mob has this type of technology? And it's like, that's probably a question that you should have asked yourself, Robert. Like, what mob has like these trackers and all that? They have Molotov cocktails, my dude. Like they're not coming at you with bugs and trackers. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, like to go with that too is like, do you really think that they're going to go into your bank accounts and just like freeze all of your credit cards? Like they're if they're going into your bank accounts, they're taking that money. They're not stopping it.
Yes.
Like he should have been a lot more suspicious of things. And
100%.
But yes, so we have this wonderful intro with Brill, and I like how we never really get like a solid answer either for why he's like up against the NSA.
Yeah.
Like it's and you know what, and maybe that's the fun part of the conversation was the
potential, the sequel.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like maybe that would make some sense. Like it would have some context for why he would be up against them, and just obviously it wasn't in mind, but like interesting. Sorry,
Well,
I think you brought
apparently
that
in the
out on-
conversation, Gene Hackman basically almost plays the same character.
Hmm.
Paranoid person, uh, uh, completely afraid of technology and what the NSA is capable of and all that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very. I guess there's a lot of parallels.
Hmm. Less interested then. But yeah, I don't know. I really liked how they handled this too, of like the intro to Brill. Like this is our guy who is our inside man. He knows all of the stuff. He's super secretive. He knows the ins and outs. And the fact that like he gets into this elevator, he's all nice and calm, and he's like, okay, boom, starts stripping through, takes it off, and he's not saying anything to this guy. He's telling him, shut up, shut up. Like he is very calmly putting a gun to this guy's face as he's also debugging him. And I like how throughout the entire time he is in control. Like at any point, he's like, if you like, I will kill you. I have no problems killing you, but that's not why I'm here. I'm not here to kill you. Don't make me kill you. That's the vibe he gives off.
I just also love how he basically summarized everything that's happening in Robert's life in 5 minutes. Like, this is why it's happening to you.
Okay, so this actually brings up a interesting point that I had. Like, so he describes everything that they're doing, right? It's textbook. It's the playbook of how to destroy someone, or it's how to infiltrate them. Like it's textbook. He knows this. He knows exactly what they will do, what they've done. Yeah. The only thing that's really changed is the technology and the capabilities of doing it. And he's still on the ends of that. But what I find interesting is look at the tech nerds. Look at our guys who are running all of this stuff. There are 3 people, I think, that are the 3 people that were involved in the murder are the only ones who are aware that this is not a training exercise. Everyone else involved believes this to be a training exercise. This is fake.
I know.
And but they're doing this as professionals. But that's why they're laughing. One of my favorite moments is Seth Green chuckling and realizing that they painted the dog. Like that is kind of fucking hilarious. But it's his reaction to it. Like the fact that these guys are so casual about all of this stuff. It's so procedural. This is what they do. They invade people's homes. They bug them. They look for patterns. That like this is what they do, and it's so comfortable for them. That's the scariest part for me. That this is so it's so day to day for them, and what it really is them destroying people's lives or learning so much about somebody that they could.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane. Go ahead.
I have one quick nitpick and then probably good for a break, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right. So my nitpick, as smart as these tech guys are and NSA and everything, you're going to tell me they don't know about the box camera.
The box. Oh, you mean like
the one that is across the pond, pointed right at the site of the crime.
The wildlife one, yeah.
They have no knowledge of this. There's no way that they can't scan any square mile radius to make sure that nothing can. I don't buy it. Like, not with the technology that these guys are having and how smart they are.
I agree with you. I think it's strange that something so obvious is missed, but I would also create the argument that if they were surveying this area where they committed this crime for any period of time, that box would have been there for so long because it's just there. They wouldn't clock it as anything. It's like that's just something that's been there. That's just something that's been there. There's like it is not of note because it's just something that is established. And that is like I going with the assumption that they've only been surveying this thing in the past like few months to see like, okay, well, this is where we're going to meet him. But I don't know. Like they don't do any sort of scans for their own like cameras and stuff. Like you don't know if there's other things that you're not aware of, or maybe they just assumed that we have the eyes. There's no other. There's no cameras here that wouldn't be ours.
Yeah, it's that one. That one's been. It's always been tough for me to accept.
It's fair. I think the strangest part for me was the guy that was the cop that spotted him. Like that. Okay, so you have an inside guy who's at the crime scene. Makes sense. Like I guess I wouldn't have thought that you guys would have thought that far, but that's pretty brilliant. And then like he clocked that dude so quick, but also he wasn't being like he wasn't trying to hide. Like the guy on the other side of this lake is very obvious. His truck is massive. Like, yeah.
Well, it was one of my head scratches that I noticed on this go round is how does Daniel even get close to that bird box? Yeah, I don't know what to call it.
Go with that, it's fine.
Sure. How does he even get close to that? A U.S. congressman has been found dead on scene. And he's just like there's not a lot of water in between here. Okay, it's not like he's across a lake. It's like he is dangerously close to a crime scene. There's no way that he's getting close to that box. Like you're talking like 360 shut off around this whole thing. If this is a real life scenario,
I'm with you. I agree. This is a government official, a high up government official. You're way too open with this crime scene. Like it's way too accessible.
Yes.
Again, just me playing devil's advocate. It's like this guy's been doing this. It's for months now. It's like it's just a routine. He's just gonna go collect his tape and he's gonna leave, no problems. And it's like that's what you tell the police.
You went mute.
I did. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
no.
You're good.
Okay. That was weird. That was something happened where my audio just dropped.
Yeah,
I literally happened.
That's where you tell the police.
We're being watched.
Yeah,
they're saying too much.
Saying too much. I think that's a sign that we should take a break and just.
I think so. I think we're on someone's radar.
My God. Before we go on break, I'll divulge that I haven't technically picked a movie for next week yet. Not that I haven't found movies that I'd like to watch, but I just haven't really decided on anything. So maybe I'll go something a little less government, like conspiracies and things. Like let's stay away from the government for a little bit. So we'll see what I come up with. Yeah. Let's go ahead. We'll take a quick break and then we'll be back in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
I got a freaking water cooler that I absolutely love.
Oh, nice.
I gotta figure out how much I'm going through it though. Like I think I'm going through at least two a month. Figure it out though. I think like I'm going through these things pretty fast. Like I might have to fill them up to the point where it's like 4 a month. I don't know. But I think the real issue with that is like I use that water for when I'm making coffee too.
Oh yeah.
So much better than the tap water.
Yeah.
So like I drink a lot of coffee, so it goes towards that, but I'm also just trying to drink a lot of water.
Oh, it's good to stay hydrated.
Well, I don't really like I like soda, but I don't really like drinking soda all of the time. Occasionally I want something that's got like a flavor to it, so I want something sweet. I've been trying to go towards like juices and stuff, but yes, welcome back to GoodFlickas, home of the GoodFlickas. We are talking about Enemy of the State. I feel like we're kind of getting towards like we've hit up quite a few scenes, more so at the the first half of, like, I think we've done a good job. Now we're really getting into the meat with, I think, some of the later half of the movie. Now that we've got Gene Hackman, is there a specific story that you guys are seeing or anything you guys would like to get into? Or
Oh, I do have a question.
yeah,
I think, yeah, this is more of the, sorry, it's still part of the front half.
well, we're not excluding the front half. I'm just saying we've hit up quite a bit of it. There's still
okay, gotcha.
to talk about.
Fine.
Pintero. Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know who Pintero is?
Our mob guy.
Yep.
The mob guy, yes. I've always been so confused. His whole thing is he wants to know who made the videotape.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. That's all he cares about is he wants the videotape and he wants it, right?
Yes.
It's clear as day that the video was recorded in front of him.
Yeah.
How does he not know who made the videotape?
You think he remembers some random guy who was there that day? Although you would think that there's the shot where apparently he's taking this picture, right? Like the guy with the camera who's recording it all is taking a picture of him.
Yeah, and how is he not, like, how is he okay with being video? I just don't understand. The whole video thing really throws me off.
Maybe he's also who gave you this tape, not who made it, but who gave it to you.
Maybe this is kind of like one of my problems with things as well. Of they do a great job of connecting everybody, but they don't really do a great job of connecting like the mob. Like, so like you've got the mob and the FBI doing their thing,
right?
You've got the NSA doing their thing,
right?
And it's like, okay, how are these guys really connecting? Because when it gets to the climax of this movie, right? Like, it's why that's my big thing is like, why are we here? Because as far as we know with the stuff with the mob, it's like this really boils down to this guy has been screwing his laborers, right? That's it. The guy has been screwing his laborers. That's why Will Smith's character is involved. It's like you got to give them their rights. That's all we're asking for. This is
we don't get a lot of the backstory between the mob and Robert, but I guess that's the beauty of any of the state is you don't need it.
Well, you don't like it. I think the whole point of the mob is just for you to rely on the fact that like no matter what happens to these guys, they're the bad guys.
I disagree. The point of the mob is very simple. They are after a videotape. Yeah. That's all you need to know about the mob because of how brilliantly this movie concludes itself.
Very true.
Yes,
yeah.
But why is the mob there? Like, I get that you're saying like for this videotape, but why? Like, it's let's just cut to the scene, right? Like, we've got the NSA has been taken into this kitchen that is controlled by the mob.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why are we here? Why are we having this confrontation? It's a who's on first.
You're actually asking for serious why.
I'm saying the problem with it is
I'll take it. I want it.
I think you were misunderstanding my question, but we'll get to that when you give me the answer. But my point of like, we have these guys there. There's the miscommunication of, I want to know who's got the tape. No, I'm holding on to the tape. Like, well, it's my tape. It's not your tape. It's my tape. Like, it's a who's on first situation that's really happening there. And the only reason that shit hits the fan is because one dude runs in screaming, drop your weapons. Like, and then just, it goes off. It's just not a satisfying thing for me where like, it doesn't come full circle of, the mafia doesn't need to be gunned down in this moment. And our bad guy doesn't need to be gunned down in this moment. We don't get true justice. We just get satisfying conclusions. But it's not satisfying to me. I want to know why it needed to be the mafia coming to this moment with the NSA and it to end in gunfire. But go ahead, Brian. You had your
Well, I'm gonna be very nice, and I want to hear what Jen has to say.
Oh, really? Okay, well, the only thing is like it wasn't planned. This was we have no other cards to play, but I'm holding this ace up my sleeve because this mob boss is looking for a tape. I can use this because we're looking for a tape. Like this, the whoever Reynolds is looking for a tape. So he puts them together thinking like, here you go. You need each other when really they don't. Like that was just an ace up his sleeve. And so that's why Brill was like, you're either really stupid or really smart. Because he didn't even know how this was gonna play out. He recognized like the mob restaurant, I'm guessing, because they showed the little Santa in a sled thing. But yeah, that was completely just this is it because we're looking like death row right here. So that's how that connected, and the only reason why it connected was because of Robert himself, because he was working with, well, not working with the mob, but the lawyer thing. That was it. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly what I was gonna say. We're on the scene. I titled it "Blood in the Sauce," and I mean, it's exactly what it's one of the things that I love most about Enemy of the State is the way that they ended this, because it is so, to me, it's just so creative. I agree. I don't think it was planned. I think this was Robert saying like, fuck, we're up shit creek right now, and we need to come up with something. And he just happened to remember, I've got guys that are on me about a tape. Let's see how this plays out, right? And this is the beauty about the movie. They go in, and you've got Mob thinks that they have the tape of that, or that the NSA guys are the ones that made the videotape of them at their not guilty shindig soiree or whatever, right? So we'll call that tape A. Then the NSA guys think that the mob guys are the ones that are in possession of the murder, the tape that has the murder of the congressman, tape B. So everyone is after a tape, but they're after different tapes and have no fucking idea about it. And they're just like, and it was their way of basically, Robert said, I'm going to take both my problems and combine them in one room. And I really hope I survive. It is such a brilliant conclusion to the movie, to where I remember first time I was not guessing it. And even on second watch, I was like, there's no way I could predict this. Like, it's too good. It is literally, you're fighting, you think you're fighting over the same tape, but you're fighting over two different tapes because you keep saying tape. You don't go into details about it. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's very smart. He said it perfectly. Either really smart or really dumb.
Exactly. You're very smart or incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
It's a Hail Mary, that's for sure.
Oh, big time.
Yeah. I've got another question.
Yeah.
What was John Voight's character again? It was
Reynolds.
Like, we never really get like his true motives. What do you guys think is like his reasoning for? So like we theorized earlier about like he kills the guy at the beginning because he wants this bill to pass. Like that's obvious. That's
Plain and simple.
But as like the movie goes on and we kind of get to know him a little bit more as a character, like, what do you think is like the true reason that he is after this video, after like this thing of like, I need to prevent this from coming out? I it my reason be here's the theory that I have to go behind this is I feel like the decision to kill the congressman was either that was passed down from somebody else. They told him, "Hey, you need to get this guy on your side. You need to get him on the side of this bill. If not, he's out. Like you got it. You're taking him out." So I think like that murder choice was something that was passed down onto him. Like, and it was like, I have to execute this now. But because he was the one that's like, he's the face, he is the one that did this, like, it's not going to go up to this next person. It's just him trying to save his ass. Like, curious. Go ahead, Brian.
So, a couple of things. I think number one, he did not want to kill the congressman.
I don't think he did either.
I think he really wanted the congressman to come to terms on his on his side, and they can put everything behind and move forward. And then obviously that didn't happen. And so what I do think, I think he just wants the bill to pass, and all his mission is to cover up his involvement in the murder. And after that, I don't think that he's going to be a bad person. I think he truly just wants to protect America by passing this bill. I don't think he's trying to get the bill passed so he can be involved in domestic terrorism or anything like that. I truly think he wants to prevent domestic terrorism or terrorism in general. And any other additional crimes as being part of the NSA. I also feel that there is a personal interest for him by getting this bill passed because it's going to give him a couple levels up promotion. And I think he really wants that to. I think he's going after the director of NSA. I think that's the position that he wants, and I feel that if he gets this bill passed, that helps him get into the fill the shoes of the director position.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's like because there is the moment where he's talking with his wife and she says, like, you should have been the director 2 years ago, if not. It's like it's you can tell that he feels a bit slighted, and like, I agree with you. I don't think he wanted to kill the congressman or like, but that's why I think it was passed down from somebody else. But because of the situation, he knew it's like, it's all going to be on me.
Yeah.
And all of the hard work that I've put towards to be the director that I want, I want to be the director. I want to be this guy. It's all going to go away. It's all going to be taken away.
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah. Go ahead.
Got a new scene for us?
No.
I don't care.
Okay.
Jar full of information.
Yeah. Let's pop open that jiffy.
Yeah. I should have titled it that, damn it. All right. This is just another one of those just perfect scenes in Enemy of the State. First of all, the things that Hackman is saying, it's kind of like, are we making a film or are we declaring our opinion? Like when he starts talking about how the government has been, tracking us since the 40s, they can tap into your phone. If you have a conversation with your wife and you use the word bomb, alaha, blah, 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 it flags, it analyzes. And that was, and that was 20 years ago. And he's talking about how they tap into your computers and all that. It's like, dang, you guys are definitely onto something, because we already know, everyone knows that we're being watched, listened to, heard. I think we've tapped on it already, but it's like, you can say something next to your phone, like a product or whatever. I guarantee you within 2 days, you're going to start seeing that product advertisement. It's artificial intelligence. We know it. We know it's there, right? And it's just so interesting when you hear that type of dialogue, just the dialogue that Brill is saying. And then if you compare it, and this is in 1998, and you compare it to where we're at in 2023, it's like, I think Brill is a fortune teller and definitely predicted a lot of what's going on. So, um, I thought that was really interesting. Once again, it's Hackman blazing the stage, and then you get the iconic. Um, I, I blew up the building. Why? Because you made a phone call. That is just the funniest line as a giant ball of fire is going off in the background.
I think that is one of my favorite exchanges between characters in a movie.
Yeah.
What is going on? I blew up the building. Why? Because you made a phone call.
His delivery is just so perfect. I was like, it's just great. It's an entertaining scene, and then obviously it leads to the car chase um I have a question for you guys. Is he has nowhere to go, the ultimate Jinx saying in this movie? Because I realize they say it at least 2 or 3 times and they never catch him. We got him, he's right in front of us, he has nowhere to go, and he's gone.
And he goes.
And then he has nowhere to go and he's behind a train.
Which the train thing kind of bothers me too. Like, they don't go that far. They just get on the other side of a train and start walking.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't get that far from you. Like, you guys are just all pissed. Like, yeah, you got to wait for that train to pass before you can really get to them. But like, it's not that bad.
If it's a freight or cargo train, those trains could be.
Oh, it's a long ass train for sure.
Exactly.
Oh, it's a long ass train. But
so it might have bought you some time. Go ahead, Jen.
Can we talk about the phone call? Okay, this was one of my, I can't really say a nitpick, maybe more of a head scratcher. At this point, he's well aware of who he's dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
And what in the world are you doing making a phone call? Like, this makes no sense. Okay, the guy, I forget his name, the guy that got hit by the fire truck.
Daniel.
He made a phone call, but he didn't know what he was into, right? He just knew this is bad.
Right.
I have it on film. Robert is well aware of these people by now, and yet he makes a damn phone call. I remember watching, I was like, what are you doing, guy? Like, get off the phone. Like, oh my God, send a letter, for Christ's sake.
Bad move.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Kind of goes on with one of my little nitpicks for this thing too. Like, not only does he make this phone call after like but he told you multiple times, don't make a call. But the way that they shoot this, or they edit this scene the first time that we see it, Brill walks into this convenience store and his head is blocked by like whatever I think it's where the cigarettes are kept above the counter. So you can see him standing there, but his face is covered. He walks to the other side, he stops, and his face is still covered. And all I could think in this time was like, man, this guy is so brilliant. Like, he knows that there's cameras and he's avoiding them.
I thought that too.
But then it cuts to them where it's like, oh, who's this other guy? We can only see the top of his head. This guy's smart. He doesn't look up. And then you cut to him in the convenience store where he's looking at he's looking, and he looks directly into the camera. I mean, like he's staring down the barrel. He looks into that freaking camera, and I'm like, the fuck? Like, you gave me the impression that he was at least avoiding them or aware of them and like doing okay the first time I see this. But then you're going to show me how blatantly obvious it is that he looks directly into this camera.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with it if he was just up there, they caught him and, like they saw him, like they saw the side of his head. But the fact that he looks directly at it, I'm like, you couldn't have made this easier for them.
Yeah. It like make him catch on a reflection. Like, something. It's like, oh, we got him off the reflection of the refrigerators.
something,
something like
make
that.
them work a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like, he looks directly into the camera.
Yeah.
They both screwed up at that store. They just keep on driving.
But
guys.
no, I'm John. I'm
Needed to
completely agree. Like, I don't know what Robert was thinking. It's like, can you just listen to Brill? He clearly knows what he's doing. If he tells you do not make a phone call, here's an idea: don't make a fucking phone call.
Right?
Also,
He's like, what's a cell phone? Care?
I know. I did a payphone. Oh well, you know what? You're right.
That probably makes it even easier.
Seriously.
God, at this point, you got to leave your wife and kid alone. You're only going to make things worse for yourself and them. Leave them alone. You got to. You've got to.
Yes.
You're just putting them in danger.
And speaking of phones, here's another nitpick of mine, and it's kind of like it's a true nitpick, honestly. Brill's trying to be all high tech and trying to teach Robert, all his skills and what he's got, right? And he's like, so if I take this and I link it to this, all of a sudden you get, and then right when he says that, he just happens to have, the congressman just happens to be on his phone at the exact, I was like, it's a little too perfect, guys. It's a little too clean cut to where it's like I'm linking the phone to the congressman's phone and he just happens to be on it right at this very second and he's talking right at this very second. Yeah, it's a little, I think they could have made it a little bit more wait and see type thing.
Yeah, that's another thing. Once Brill kind of becomes the part of the story, everything has urgency to it. They never really sit still for too long. So, and that's not necessarily a problem pacing wise or anything, but like you miss out on those kinds of things where you could have done something maybe a little bit better rather than just make it very convenient.
Officer and a murderer.
I'm guessing the fence. They're at the fence.
Do you get the title? Do you get the title though?
Yes, an officer and a gentleman, but
this scene is like, thank you. I've been waiting for the Hackman John Voight scene together, and it delivers so good. I mean, there's literally a fence in between them, and you could just tell both actors are just like, John is like, Hackman, give me what you got, and Hackman's like, John, give me what you got, and their bodies, their deliverance of this is so amazing. John Voight's rant, I try to listen to what he says every time, and I still don't get it word for word of everything that he's just rambling about and everything. It's just perfect. There's not one thing I would change about this scene. Go ahead, Matt.
No, I really enjoy how all of this stuff kind of plays out. This was something I wrote down where this was the moment where I stopped the film, and then it got my heart pounding again, because it was right after. So excuse me. Like you said, Brill kind of like explains everything. Like he's like, hey, here's the plan. You got it? No. And then it cuts. Like it's like that was a fun little comedy moment, but like they gave the audience, here's the plan, and it was enough for us to be like, okay, we know what the plan is. But what I wrote down was like, this is what I wrote down. It is a beautiful moment that foreshadows a change in plans. Like there's going to be a big twist. There's going to be something that happens, and I'm glad I paused it when I did, because it's right before everything really gets going. And there is this huge twist. The one I was expecting them to come up with a different plan. And the fact that what is executed is actually the plan that Brill says. And they both get caught because he didn't leave in time. They were just, what was it? Was it Roberts? What's his name?
Yeah,
Roberts. He's stalling them with just bullshit babbling, and when he finally realizes like, okay, peace, and just walks away as he's still talking, he's like, nope, we're fucked, we're out. And like They try to get out, they get caught. Like I wasn't expecting any of that.
Yeah.
And then it leads to the bigger twist, which we were already talking about, is the leading them to the mob's den and the epic shootout. Like I was not expecting any of it. And it did such a great job of getting my heart pounding, like what's going to happen next. And every time it's like, oh, like it was like, I just kept getting more and more on the edge of my seat. I was, practically in front of the TV staring at this thing, ready for what was about to happen. It was so good with building the anticipation. I love this is something I'm surprised we haven't talked more about, but the character that's not a character throughout this entire movie. It's the blender.
No.
This blender, I love that it's one of those things. It's a nothing that really matters. He walks in, has this conversation with his wife. It's just casually making himself a smoothie, making them smoothies, and like that's it. And then he steals the blender, and the blender has now become a character.
Yeah.
It is brought up like, man, this thing blends pretty good, right?
Yeah.
You stole this fucking blender. The one thing, you steal the blender. And it leads to what I think is a great moment at the end of like, that's my blender. So like, not sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I stole your blender. What about it? And then go ahead.
When Robert and Regina King, I can't remember her character's name. When they get into that epic fight, and the guy and Seth Green and all them are watching the fight.
Yeah.
And then it goes down, and then at the end they're like, do you want to blend?
Yes.
It was like their coping mechanism.
Well, that was another thing that feeds into what I was saying of like how casual these guys are about this. Like they think this is a training. So it's like it's not a big deal that they stole this blender from this guy, because like this is all a setup. Like these aren't real people. They're actors. Like they're taking it serious because it's training when they have to. But they're such asses. They're drinking this freaking blender. It's so good. But you have that great payoff at the very end of I'll be back for my blender. Yeah, it'll be gift wrapped. Like like that. I love this whole sarcasm and this whole attitude about this blender, and the fact that everybody loves it. I don't even think he gets the blender back. Like that's probably the worst part.
Well, you're right. I don't think he does.
I don't think he gets his blender back unless he takes it out of the surveillance truck while the FBI is getting everything. Go ahead, Jen.
So I wasn't aware that they were in on it. You keep saying they thought it was a training op. I missed that part because the two guys, I don't know the names. They were there at the crime scene, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So they knew, but not everybody.
Correct.
Yes.
They were. I thought Jack Black's character. I thought they all knew.
No, they were all told it was a training. Although
it's kind of a sticky line between who knew and who didn't, because they didn't really do they didn't do a great job disclosing, aside from the people who were actually there at the pond. Then obviously that they know, but when it comes to the team, it's like I don't really know who knows the truth and who doesn't. But yeah.
It makes me wonder, like this is why I like the way that this movie was written, is like it leaves these questions.
Yeah, a lot of what ifs.
There's the moment at the end where you've got Jack Black and Jamie Kennedy, the only survivors, who are like, well, why did you record this? And like they're stalling, they're bullshitting, blah blah blah. And it's like, why are they doing that? And I don't know about Jamie Kennedy, because he's in with Seth Green when I believe he's very much in the thought process of this is training. Jack Black is the only one that I'm curious about, because he was the first man behind a computer that they went to. And this guy had a direct phone call with Reynolds where he's like, yep, satellite already done. Like I would think that he would probably like, because it's suspicious. Why does he record it? They make a point to show that he records, and it's this guy confessing. It almost made me think that he and Brill had something worked out. Like there was a lot of things where I'm like, ooh, this could be a cool connection. This could be a cool connection.
Yeah.
But they don't give you the answer, and they leave it up for your interpretation or theorizing.
I think Jack Black knew the truth. His character knew the truth
About
that it wasn't a training.
Okay, from the beginning, he knew it wasn't a training.
Correct.
I would agree, especially since when they tell him about the plan, they say, we're calling it a training.
He also was the one that picked up the phone call of him describing that the congressman was murdered.
Whose phone call? Sorry, I'm just trying to remember the scene.
Daniel's phone call to the news reporter. Jack Black intercepted that. His character intercepts that phone call.
He just hears it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a fair point too.
So I think Jack Black's character was amongst the few who actually knew the truth behind how the congressman died.
So would it certainly be some sort of insurance that he was doing it for?
Yeah, it's called CYA.
Cover his own ass.
Cover your ass.
There you go.
Yeah.
I got a head scratcher. Kind of want to unpack this one.
Yeah.
Robert is in a hotel, runs into a closet, and decides, I'm going to light this bitch up.
Yeah.
I just, is it the smartest move?
No, but I think it's only a move.
Is it his only move? It's
a risky move.
Yes.
The only thing that I can say for him is like, it's not a terrible plan. The problem with the plan was he didn't close the flammable liquid and it dumped all over everything. So I feel like the plan to like start a fire and have the like essentially rescue him, sure, but to set the entire room on fire as quickly as he did, I'm certain that was an accident.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
But God, why would you run into a closet? I don't know. Like how do you outrun these people, right? Like that's the hardest thing is like, how do you outrun them? So it's, you know what? I think it all boils down to the line, right? Of like, he's either really stupid or really brilliant. It's like every choice that he makes, it's either the right one because he was calculating, or it was really dumb and he got really lucky, or he got caught. Like it's always one or the other. It's either really dumb or really smart.
I think this one he got incredibly lucky on.
I think so.
The result is probably what he was looking for, and that was basically escorted out by EMS, and no one's allowed to get in, and you have to evacuate a burning building, and basically using the firefighters on his side.
Yeah.
To counter what you were, or to continue with what you were saying though, Matt, I don't think he meant to do it as aggressively as it happens.
Yeah. Just remember, people, when you're starting fires, make sure to seal up the flammable liquid so you don't accidentally catch fire to something you don't intend to. Also, do not dump gasoline onto an already made fire. That is a dumb decision. Do not pour gasoline onto fires. And that is your fire safety corner from GoodFlickas. Yeah, I don't think he meant to do it either.
Yeah.
But God, what a balls. Like he makes some really interesting choices. Hopping out the balcony, climbing down, hey, the balcony that's a smart move. The fact that he found a room that was empty and had an unlocked balcony, like, impressive.
Yeah. And then I love Seth's once again, Seth, just a great announcer of the play-by-play action that you're seeing. When he goes to the 15th floor, it's you can actually hear the surprise in his voice. It's like he's on the 15th. How's this guy doing this?
Jump to the 15th floor. Yeah. Is almost impressed.
Yeah, he actually is impressed.
I like that. They did a really good job in all of the chases where they've got the guys in the van and the guys on foot.
Mm-hmm.
The footage to dialogue, voiceover, like everything, they did a really good job balancing that stuff out, and it feels great.
No, people who are making films need to study this on how to do a chase scene the right way. It is so textbook. Multiple times too. It wasn't just like a one great chase scene. It was like multiple chase scenes, each of them just as entertaining as the next.
Well, and it makes sense for the movie too, right? Like it's keeping the intensity.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Porsche?
Fucking hated the name.
I hated the dog. Just drives me insane. I like the dog. I wrote it as a nitpick. I think it's the first time I ever wrote an animal as a nitpick.
I did like how Porsche can also be used as kind of like a clue. He's Porsche. Hate the
Continue, because I'm curious now.
Really hate the name. So Porsche is always barking at Robert. Always.
Yeah.
Always barking at Robert. And when Robert's been chasing and everything, and it's all like said and done, Porsche starts barking again, and Regina King's character heads out to the shed, and boop, there he is, right? Like it's little moments like that where like being around it's like if anybody was paying attention to the dog, you'd be like, well, that's suspicious. It always barks at him. He must be around. But because they're looking at cameras and other things, they miss this vital clue.
And why not bug the shed? You've bugged everything else.
Who knows? It doesn't look like they go in there too often. Was it that? And it's not where they parked there. What was in there? There was something big in there. Was it a car?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so.
I wouldn't think so. Like it was.
No, it was just like a tool shed.
Yeah, but there was something big inside, right? Like it was.
Not that I noticed.
I thought he pushes her up again because it's when he like realizes she's in the lingerie that he bought her.
It might have been like a stack of shelves or something.
I could have sworn it was like a car or something.
I don't think it was a car.
I gotta go.
No, you don't.
I know, I'm tired. I'm so sorry.
I mean, to be honest, I think I'm down to quotes.
I'm pretty much down to quotes as well. Like we've hit up all of the scenes with the exception of the lingerie one that's got a quote in it that I have.
But yeah, I mean, John, if you want to go now, you're obviously more than welcome to.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a choice.
Okay.
Okay.
You just got to assume into the movie.
Yes, final thoughts. Who wins the movie? Final thoughts.
Well, come on already.
Well,
it was a good.
We're waiting.
It was a great movie. Talk and movie itself. No, I really enjoyed it. It was the perfect little movie. After all of our little animation stuff, it was good call. And who wins it? It's a tie. I can't split them up. It's Jon Voight and Gene Hackman. They're just phenomenal actors. And in this particular movie, it's hard for me to decide which one did it better. I think if you were to reverse the characters, like the roles, you'd still get the same movie, if that makes sense. Like they're on equal playing fields, and that's why it's a tie. And I know I've never done that, and it might be cheating, but I choose two people in it.
We'll give it to you, I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay.
All right. Well, yes. Thank you, Jen. We appreciate you sticking it out, and enjoy your day off tomorrow. So sleep in and have some coffee or tea or whatever.
Even when I'm off, like my sleeping in is like 5:30. It's not sleep. We don't sleep in anymore.
I've got to get better about like waking up. I've been taking these days off and just being bad. I'm like, I don't want to get up. It's a problem.
We could trade hours. You get up at 5:30 for fun.
That's okay. That's when I normally wake up from work, and I don't want to do it on my own. Stick with like 7 o'clock as a wake up time.
That would be nice.
It's, normal.
I'm gonna go so I don't take over the show here. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
I have a blanket question.
Yeah.
And it's basically kind of going off of the title of the movie. So based off of the way that this movie presented, who/what is the enemy of the state?
I would think that there's multiple, but I got to give it to Robert Will Smith, Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to say that he is enemy of the state. Not to say that he's earned it, but he's fallen into it because he's the one that they're chasing this whole time. The state being the NSA, but also enemy of the state could be Gene Hackman's character because he's been avoiding and hiding from the NSA for decades. So I'd say Will Smith. I'd say Robert.
See, that's interesting. And the reason why I described the question the way I did is me. I was more leaning towards the what side of things, to where I think when they say enemy of the state, I think they're talking about government surveillance. To where it's like almost that moment when you realize the enemy of the state is the government type deal,
Could be, yeah. Is your government really out to help you?
Right.
No, that's fair. It's a very plausible and yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. Just not my immediate thought, because you're right. It's the fact that this technology and all of this stuff is accessible, and it's like, is that the bigger problem? Is that the fact that these things exist,
right?
That giving them the capabilities.
And see, this is like one of the many things that I love about this movie is just the amount of, the entertainment that it provides just in a 2-hour time span, but the takeaways that you can pull from and the discussions you can bring about with friends, family, etc.
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult for movies to be able to write a story that's like entertaining, shocking, that leaves you with questions, but gives you a satisfying story and conclusion.
Yes,
it's
entertains you at the same time.
Yeah, I like this. The more that I think about it, like, it's such a shame that I don't hear about this movie. It's really good.
No one talks about it.
They just don't talk about it, and I feel like it is because it's the whole government thing of, it's like,
yeah,
it's a good movie, but it's like,
well. And it's interesting because, like we established, this one comes out in '98, right? But I feel like this paved the way for a lot of style shows shows and movies that have come out as well. Like there's a movie with Shia LaBeouf, Eagle Eye. Have you seen that one? It's kind of the same thing, just a lot more high tech.
it's the exact same story in a more modern setting.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say the exact same story.
But but the way that they're using technology, electronic billboards to get his Ethan Shaw's attention. I think that was his character name. And then
that's
I don't
an
know.
AI problem too, right? Like,
Yeah.
not only is it the government is surveying you and can like find you anywhere, but it's also this AI has been doing it.
Yes. So, like I said, I really do feel that it just paves the way. There was a show called Person of Interest,
Mm-hmm.
a TV show called Person of Interest that is a lot of the AI stuff, and I just, I don't think that you get those type of shows without these earlier movies that kind of stepped up and said, hey, let's not be afraid to tread on these waters. There's another movie. It's Sandra Bullock is in it. It's called The Net. Have you seen that one?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's like the start of the internet, essentially, and just how dangerous it could be. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember it being more of like it's once again it's the technology talk.
Well, so this one might be a little bit of a stretch, but Minority Report.
Yeah,
it's not
kind of a stretch. Yeah,
it's not technically technology,
right?
But it is. It's where like it's this constant watchful eye,
right?
It's yeah.
No, it's very interesting.
I would agree with you because I don't think there are many examples before this of like how the government is watching you kind of thing. Like, yeah, I don't think that
that I can think of off the top of my head.
I mean, I can see it being used in like spy or action movies as more like a plot point rather than a plot device. Like,
yes,
it's like this is that is the point of this movie, whereas others it would be like, oh yeah, the government's tapped your phone,
right?
Because like we've a lot of FBI stuff with mob movies that we've seen like that being tapped and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this you're even the story, but even like the cinematography, we brought it up all the time too. Like there are CGI'd images in this that they've done, like the rotating the bag and all of that stuff. Like there was all of the stuff of the satellite in space, like that's a CGI'd image, and it looks really good what they did.
It looks great.
They just used the same stuff over and over again. I don't know if you noticed every time that they did a satellite image and did the breaking down, it was essentially the same shit every time, but landing on something different.
Yeah.
Like I can appreciate that because of like the difficulty it would be to do that at the time, but they did a really good job with it and it looks clean. So it's like I think those kind of things too, of like, how do you use surveillance? How do you show surveillance in this kind of storytelling way? I think that this paved a way, or at least was like a great example of things that people could pull from, of like, this is how you do it. This is how you can show like Big Brother Eagle Eye coming down. I'm like,
yes. And additionally, the ending question that Larry King says in Enemy of the State is, it's the question of all questions. Do you remember it?
I don't.
It's like the cutout of the movie, and it's the Larry King live show, and he's got the congressman.
Yeah.
And he's looking at him and he says, how do you draw a line between using us or between national government surveillance to protect the country versus listening in on my personal life? And then he's like, you don't belong in my home ever. And then it's like, that's not word for word, but that's the paraphrasing.
You have no right to my home or something.
What?
You have no right to my home or something.
You have no right in being in my home. Yeah. And then it's cut to black. And I'm just like, right there, just summarize this entire movie. And it is just, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And it does really draw, even to this day in 2023, I don't think that question has even been answered yet. And it is, if someone wants to listen to protect America from being bombed and attacked and all that stuff, then there's no way I'm going to give you any pushback or anything of do what you got to do. But if you start abusing that, and it's more of you're trying to listen in and trying to, use me for what people, to tag me on interests that I have, and to basically sucker me into consumer basis and things like that, it's like, now we have an issue. But
yeah, but I feel like the problem with that is like it's sure we can give them permission to do certain things, but how do we as regular citizens regulate that? How do we confirm?
It's the whole monitoring the monitors.
Yeah, it's like how do we confirm and make sure that they are staying out of our homes, out of our private lives? How do we do that? Especially when it comes down to it, no matter what we do, if they're listening, they are hearing our plan, but our plan means diddly squat because they have all of the information.
Right.
Like we saw in this movie, it's like they can spin the story to make me the worst person in the world.
Yes.
And
I mean,
that's all it really boils down to. Like this guy, I'm getting back into the movie with this a little bit.
That's fine.
It's like the ending of you get the newspaper of local lawyer exonerated and proved, like all of this stuff is like, yeah, this guy who just happened to be involved in this thing, his life is almost ruined, completely ruined.
Oh, his name was dragged through the mud.
Yes. In his name, anybody he's ever been associated with, wasn't his wife a lawyer or something too? Like it's likely that some shit would have gone down with her. Like simply because this guy's name was involved with something that kind of had something to do with, like, it's crazy. But
his life was completely normal. In a matter of hours, there was newspaper articles about a scandal. There was back history about things that could basically discredit him for every case he'd been involved in. And that was in a matter of hours. Like, is the power that they had to manipulate and change his life like that. It is creepy. I mean, they had him framed for murder when things got really, really too close to the fire. Yeah, it's scary. You don't have to raise your hand. It's just us.
Well, it's an actual question, but like, did you I had like a weird deja vu moment where Robert is in the office talking to his bosses or whatever, and they're kind of interrogating him.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Drops the whole like, did you have an affair? And he, you choose him out, and rightfully so. But I got a little bit of flashback to Will Smith that was at the Oscars, to Chris Rock. Keep my wife's name. Like weirdly enough, it gave me similar vibes.
Yeah. I think when you're talking about do you beat off in the shower?
Yes.
Robert, that is none of my fucking business.
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
I really did like how he did.
I didn't link the two, but yeah, that's pretty close to keep your wife's name or my wife's name.
Fucking yeah. God, though, I really did. I really liked how he turned that situation. Like, what a lawyer thing to do is like,
oh,
you're gonna come to me with that bullshit, and I'm gonna lawyer you back with a question. You masturbate in the shower? You ever think about getting it on with a guy? Like dropping these little things is like, that's none of my fucking business. Yeah. That's right, and it's none of your like bait and switch them. It's like, come on, bite the hook just so I can freaking reel you in, you son of a bitch.
The interrupting of the answer and him taking the words out of his mouth, that was good. That was really, really good. Oh, this movie. It's amazing.
You know what the worst part about this movie is? It's good. It's so good that you can't do a remake of it. Like, you can't reboot this.
Yeah. Keep it on. Yeah, exactly.
You can't, you will just ruin it.
Yep.
But there's so many like good little things that like, God, if you just redid this, if you just did this, if you just did this, like it's, God, could we make this so much better? Yes. But should we? Definitely not.
No,
Don't touch it.
Do not touch this one. Do not turn it into a TV show. Don't give me a sequel. Don't give me a prequel. Like this needs to be just wrapped in a pretty little bow.
And you know, it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up of like, don't make this a TV show. Just because if I think it's either Miami Vice or Hawaii Five-0, but Scott Conn, who's one of the commando guys, one of the guys in this one, who we also know from Ocean's 11 and many other things. Like he ends up on that show, which is like within this whole weird era of like, yeah, let's take 70s TV shows and redo them.
Yeah.
Like, stop it. Stop taking movies and then turning those into television shows. Like, do you really have no ideas? Stop it.
You mentioned something about you had notes on the lingerie scene.
Oh no, well, I just have a quote from it, but I did want to talk about it.
Sure.
It's
how every man is in a lingerie store.
So uncomfortable. But what I loved about it is that conversation of like, I'm never done this before, and like, okay, what are her sizes or what now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like just all of that stuff.
Well, wait, just one question about this lingerie store.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one that's like that?
No, it was very uncomfortable looking.
Where I've never walked into a lingerie store where the workers are actually wearing the lingerie and just the lingerie.
Nope.
Okay.
I've never been into one of those places myself. That being said, I do think I would appreciate a visual aid. But no, I've never bought lingerie. It's too intimidating. But I love how the whole interaction goes where he walks in there and she says, anything you're interested in? He's like, oh no, I'm married. And she's like, okay, that's allowed.
That's allowed.
That's allowed. Like,
she completely has him like just wrapped up. Like, I was like, dude, you're done.
So screwed. But the girl, you know, the one girl walked, what's her size? And I was like, oh, kind of like that. I was like, okay, so a 6. Yes, she's a 6. Like feeling, and cup size, and he's like, oh, they're way bigger than that. And like the way that he did that, it was so innocent, but also just like he's answering the question, the freak out of like, oh, I didn't mean it. You're like, it's such a genuine and fun moment. But, and no offense to Regina King, but you know, he says that line and I'm like, oh, okay, let's see his wife. I wasn't expecting Regina King to be his wife. And then she shows up and was like, oh yeah, okay. I'm like, again, no offense to Regina King, she doesn't have the biggest chest.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, they way bigger than that. I'm like, really not, dude. I mean, not to say she doesn't look great in the lingerie, she does. But I think you might be a little lost on that one.
Yeah. Oh man. No, it's a very, you know, it's a one of the many moments, or actually I should say few moments of the movie where they actually just incorporate a little bit of comedy relief in, you know, entwine with a lot of serious action that's going on.
Well, and what an interesting way to like connect and start this story. Because that's the moment. Up until then, Will is just doing his, I'm a lawyer, I'm dealing with the mob, I'm a labor lawyer, like I'm just doing my thing. And then I never would have, the way that they set everything up with Will, not Will, Will, but Robert. Robert going around doing his thing, getting the Christmas
a lot of Christmas references in this one. I didn't realize that.
And there's no Christmas. This is a Christmas movie, like Die Hard's a Christmas movie now, right?
You know what? This movie actually made me started to think, I don't think they're not Christmas movies. They are movies around the time of Christmas.
They're movies at Christmas, not Christmas movies.
Yeah.
We don't need to hash out that argument, but
no, we're not.
Keep Die Hard in mind. But yeah, just a really fun scene. And when they led up to it, I had not made my own connection that that's where they were going to meet. When because that they have that, and then they cut back to was it David was his name, the Jason Lee's character? Daniel. So they cut over to Daniel, who's dealing with his thing, and then goes off on his epic chase. Like and even as that whole chase was going on, still didn't make the connection he was going to run into Robert.
Yeah.
And seriously didn't see that fire truck coming. Holy shit. Like,
do you think the NSA guys would have found Robert if he didn't pass a business card?
Funny you mentioned that.
I just thought of it. I didn't even write down in my notes. It's just something I thought of.
Yeah, well, it's it's funny you mention it. I don't think so. There's no because okay. There's still a possible
because at that point they're going to start just backtracking his steps, right?
Well, they were able to get the footage from inside the store anyway. So whether he left the card or not, they saw the interaction. They could get a face, and
I think that's the giveaway.
Yeah,
they don't find it as quick because he gets creamed by the truck. They look for him. They realize that he doesn't have it on him. They don't find the card because he didn't exchange the card. So now we just have to backtrack store by store and see where the exchange happened. So I think they're probably a couple days behind, maybe, or something like that.
No, they're not even that far behind.
No.
With how fast these guys were searching for stuff.
That's true.
They know that he was moving the entire time. The only time he stopped was when he was in that store.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, I think they still find him quickly. Just not.
Well, the thing is they didn't know that he was in that store. They knew what block he was on, because remember at one point they're like, "Do we have anything?" No. We got nothing. Anyone? We're completely blind.
Then he runs out right behind him.
Right, and that's when they find him again. But they had no idea that he was what store he was in. They just knew what block he was on.
But they see him run out.
That's a good point. They do see him run out of the store. Okay,
him run out. So they can figure it out from there.
All right. So business card or not, he's still found. I think it just delays.
Yeah, I wonder if they did this on purpose too, because it does seem like, they can just solve all their problems with cameras and things. But for like an audience reference, it's like if you leave these physical clues of like, here's a business card, we see a business card, like that's a tangible connection that we can see and touch versus camera that's just in the room and we can find the thing and say, well, that seems a bit convenient, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just do appreciate that throughout this story that it's not just one clue that leads to a conclusion. It's like there's multiple reasons or ways that they would have gotten to this either way.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like there's a bunch of gaps.
All right. Yeah, I've got quotes left, man. This is just a phenomenal job unpacking Enemy of the State.
Yeah. I just have quotes too, and I think we've said most of them as I'm looking at this.
I've got a couple that we haven't. I'll start. This is from Brill. It's when he's talking about guerrilla war. Use your weaknesses as strengths. It's just great advice.
Yeah. I wouldn't, and I like how he even goes further into kind of explaining it too. And he's like, if you're the little guy and they're the big guy, that means you're quick and they're slow.
Yes.
It's like, okay.
Yep.
It's take advantage of it. Yeah. I think this was actually a Brill quote as well. And I can't remember what the quote was that led up to it, but his response was, and this was in reference to, I think, the congressman addressing something about the bill or whatever. And he says the kind of security he's going to need.
Yes.
I like that because it's in reference to the bill. And it's like, he says something of, it's security. It's important for all of us, blah, blah, blah. But what it's really, as we know, is like what it really is like it's getting enough security that you can do whatever you want and cover your own ass.
Yeah. Yep. This is from Reynolds in the very beginning of the movie. It's when he's talking to the congressman that was assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
We are at war 24 hours of every day.
Yeah. That was a quote that when he said it, like I've
You're mute again.
am I back now?
Yeah.
Weird. I know what it is now. It's my water cooler. It sends a signal that like cuts out the signal for a second. Weird. I'm gonna have to move that, but that's weird.
It's just so funny that it happens every time we're talking about something government related.
The funny part is I could actually watch it happen this time. So it's like we can blame the government, but I also saw this happen. Actually, and I'm curious if it showed up on the recording too. Like I think you might see it. I don't know. But yeah, I've lost track. We were talking about what were we talking about?
I just said we're at war 24 hours of every day.
Just because like that is kind of how I feel about at least like how I feel our government thinks at times or most of the time of like we're always fighting something. It's not always like a physical war that, you know, we've got soldiers that we're off, but we're always fighting something.
Yep.
Why can't you just world peace, guys? Come on.
And let's see, as we said that one, we definitely said that one. Okay, I have one more.
We're good. I've looked through all of the ones that I've said. The only one that I didn't technically quote was haha Jones painted the dog. Like it just I that was just a funny moment of like when he realizes he painted the dog. He's like, I painted the dog. Like,
yeah,
such an ass. You guys are such asses.
Hey, Porsche deserved it.
Porsche did suck.
Are you fucking with me eloquently? Oh, that was good. Nothing funnier than hearing a mob boss say eloquently.
That was just a good exchange all around.
Yeah.
I Will's whole delivery of everything, but then him coming back with the like, oh, you think you're just big smart lawyer man? Well, guess what? Fuck her.
Yeah. I also love since we're talking about Pintero, did you make the video tape? It's just the way he says it. Oh man.
Such a simple mind. Video tape.
Yeah, that is the quotes.
That's it for me.
All right. Why don't you go and then I'll
the only thing I had was my last nitpick was my the final shot.
Oh.
Yeah. I shouldn't say like the final shot, but it's Will Smith is sitting on the couch talking to Brill through the TV.
Yeah.
And he's looking up at the camera that is clearly not the camera that is pointed at you.
Yeah.
It is directly in front of you. It is clearly somewhere on or around this TV. And my problem with it is they even show a shot of the smoke detector where a camera was at one point, and it's like, well, stop looking at it. That's not the right fucking camera. All of that, like with the camera angles and him looking, it really bothers me, especially since like it makes no sense. It makes no sense.
I just let it slide.
But it's such a nice moment is the problem. Like watching him like kind of glance up every time like he's looking at the camera.
Yeah.
Not though. You're looking at the camera when you're looking. It bothers me. It bothers me.
It's a valid nitpick.
Oh. It's the last thing I wrote. But yeah, are we doing final thoughts and who won?
Yeah.
That will be my final thought then.
Okay.
For who wins the movie, I want to give it to Will Smith. I mean, my honorable mentions and everything will certainly be to directing, cinematography, editing. Like I think those are really like the best parts of this movie. The story itself and everything around it. The actors did phenomenal. But the reason I'm giving it to Will Smith is because I think he is a solid performance the whole way through, and he is there from start to finish of this movie. Like this is basically his story. And I think he does a great job. I think you explained that like this was his first opportunity of like really being the lead. And I shouldn't say,
Independence Day, I think, is his first opportunity.
but you know, this is another great opportunity for him, and I think he does a great job. And it's just I like his performance throughout. I believe everything about him. When he needs to be tough, I believe it. When he needs to be soft and a normal, average human being, I believe it. So I give it to Will Smith. Although many wonderful things that I could give this to, and who probably should get this.
Enemy of the State is just an amazing movie. I love circling back to it. It's one that I own. It just lives happily in my binder, and it's the type of movie that it reminds me why I love watching movies so much. It's like when you watch this, you're just like, oh, this is why I love movies. Just pure entertainment, and yeah. And then as far as who won, boy, it's another toughie. I think I'm gonna have to do honorable mentions. They're gonna go to Will Smith and Jon Voight. But I really do feel that Gene Hackman, I mean, we already said he's not in it for 55. He's in it on the 55-minute mark. And you just can't help but feel that Enemy of the State is a Gene Hackman movie. And he's only in it for like half the movie. To me, it's like that. Is there any clearer indication of who wins the movie? He steals every scene he's in. He goes toe to toe with Smith. He goes toe to toe with Jon Voight. And I don't even think that it's a fair match. I think he's just completely sweeping them under the rug. So I gotta give it to him, but it's definitely a shout out to Smith and Jon Voight as well. Those three made this movie.
Yeah, phenomenal job. It is strange to me that Jon Voight doesn't show up more in the advertising, but yeah. Sweet. Yep. So that'll wrap it up for Enemy of the State. What a wonderful chat and great movie. Highly recommended by us. So if you happen to be on Hulu and looking for a good movie, check out Enemy of the State. I made my decision. I'm sticking with this. I'm looking at it. And this was actually a movie that I found on, so it's streaming on Netflix is this one. I just found it today, and it's not one that I've seen before, so I'm going in a bit blind. I don't know what's going to happen with this one. What I can say is it's going to be another action thriller type movie, and I'm not ready to give up this vibe yet. So normally
those are awesome
things, but I want to keep it going. Yeah. So next week's pick, and just to confirm, it doesn't have any it's going to go away dates. Yes. So next week's pick, streaming on Netflix, that is going to be Leon the Professional.
I've never heard of this.
Interesting. See, this is another reason I went with it. It's like this is one that's kind of a it's got a bit of a what am I looking for? Like a cult following to it. It's kind of one like if you know sort of things.
Got it.
It's also one of those movies. It's like highly recommended. It's talked about all the time, but not a lot of people have seen it, including me. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I think the big shocker of this one, that if you're not aware, it stars young Natalie Portman.
Oh,
young Natalie.
Okay.
Portman. So that's yes. I'm really interested in this one. It sounds like it's going to be a new one for at least a couple of us. I don't know. I imagine it's probably new for Jen, and I cannot imagine Nick saw it. So this is I'm going to guess this is a fresh movie for all of us. So.
Yeah, it might be a 0. If you and I haven't seen it, there's a really good chance that the other two haven't. So we're probably looking at 0 out of 4 have seen it.
Yeah, sweet. Which is always interesting for me, but I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully it doesn't suck. It's been highly recommended throughout my life. So
okay,
that's hopefully we enjoy it. But yeah, so tune in next week to hear us talk about Leon the Professional, streaming on Netflix. Other than that, thanks for sticking it out. You can check us out on Instagram at good.flickas. You can see us on YouTube at GoodFlickas. Check out some of our newer episodes. We should have some another one posting hopefully tomorrow. It should be up tomorrow. You can send us an email at goodflickas2020@gmail.com, and just check us out here on Twitch Mondays nights for our live show. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to plug. And yeah, check us out. Hopefully you come back, give us a watch. Brian, go ahead and close us out, man.
Yeah, movie fam. We hope that you enjoyed our deep dive on Enemy of the State. I know it was a kind of a different one, starting with we were missing one, then another one dropped out. But as you can see, GoodFlickas, we do not give up. We will we will stay with you guys to the end. Yeah, you know, like I said, hope you enjoyed the talk. What to say here? You know, let's go with this. If you ever feel that you're being watched by the eye in the sky, if there's one thing this movie taught, you either got to be very smart or incredibly stupid. And if you do one of those, you'll be just fine. We'll see you next week.